Hey, buddy.
What's going on?
After some goddamn technical difficulties, holy shit.
Look, we're only 15 minutes later than we originally said.
You know what? It's fine because I let everybody know with our very, very, very sweet banner that I put up. I'm digging using StreamYard.
Yeah, I am too.
And we found out about it from Trevor and Troy.
Yep.
And we can't be outdone by a podcast that's probably better than ours, but
for sure. Yeah, definitely more interaction.
Oh, for sure.
Trevor and Troy, the Two Brothers podcast, and then Trevor also has the Trevor Jackson podcast.
Which shout out to them. They've become good buddies of ours. We like them a lot.
And we will be on Trevor's. The plan right now is next Friday night, as long as nothing happens.
Yep.
So, what are we drinking tonight?
We are drinking Powers Gold Label. I have had Powers Irish whiskey before.
Yeah.
They used to go on sale a lot in Hawaii. We used to do a lot of shots of that shit when I was fucking balls deep in drinking. But it's established 1791, triple distilled, product of Ireland. They don't have a lot of shit written on it because
why?
Well, why would you?
Right.
So let's pour this up in here.
Let the liquid gold do the talking.
Yep.
It looks good.
It actually is pretty good.
Good. And you said you have had the gold label before?
I don't know if there's a difference if it's all gold label or not. I just saw it and I was like, oh shit, I haven't had Powers in a minute. So cheers to you, my friend.
Cheers.
And I was trying to be nice and get something you might like.
I like it.
Yeah, it's not bad.
No.
It's got a really hard bite at the end.
Yeah.
It's goddamn good for picklebacks too.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because that bite at the end, the pickleback just takes it.
We'll do some picklebacks one night.
Maybe on the second half.
Probably not. Probably not. I don't like going back upstairs till we're done.
Yeah. So you've had a fun week.
I've had a hell of a week.
Yeah.
Yeah. Started out taking my wife to get an angiogram Monday in Nashville. And then the rest of the week has been spent doing an audit in the building, and that's just hectic and stressful.
Yeah.
So
it's been hectic and stressful for me too.
Yeah.
No.
I had my grandmother died Tuesday morning about 6:30 a.m. Eastern.
Condolences.
Yes, thank you. How human of you. Yeah. So I'll go into some of the other stuff in a little bit because my COVID diagnosis count is up in the family.
Oh yeah. You got
doing pretty good.
My sister's kid. He's had his test. He's supposed to be getting it back at some point. He went home from school sick, but my 80-something-year-old grandmother picked him up from school that day because he was sick, and he's been staying with her because my family is completely logical in all those regards. So who the fuck knows? And I also just found out randomly, nobody told me that she's maybe having like major open heart surgery sometime in the next few weeks. Nobody's telling me.
Not if she has COVID. She's not.
No, not if she has COVID. But yeah, but I mean, obviously, since the podcast reveal with my family, it's been a little strained.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I just assumed that they would all act like it never happened.
They do.
They act like it never happened. They just don't act the same.
Yes.
Okay. I gotcha.
Yeah, I'm out of the will, man.
We'll see. Oh, are you? You think so?
I'm pretty sure. At least out of my grandmother's.
Maybe they put some money in there in hopes that the goodness will save your soul.
All they put in there is probably like all the family Bibles that they're going to give to me.
I mean, have you priced a Bible lately? Shit's expensive. You could probably make some money on selling all those Bibles.
Oh my God. And yeah, but my dad's been kind of sick. And so I can't tell if he's still, because he goes on these phases, right? Yeah. Depending on his medication, where he's always mad at one person in the family for no like fucking reason whatsoever. And I feel like it's directed towards me right now because I think he was all about the podcast and listening to it.
Yeah.
And I think he heard something that hurt his feelings randomly. So he's been really weird.
I don't feel like you say a lot about him. That's
interesting. No. But I said something about his beautiful nephews and his mama.
Yeah.
So, and that'll blow over too. He found out this week he has diabetes.
Nice.
Yeah. And you know what he's done this week? Like,
eat cake.
All he does is eat fucking ice cream, popsicles, and sweet cereal. Nice. And he's complaining about feeling sick all the fucking time.
No kidding.
And he won't stop.
I'm gonna rephrase that.
He got diagnosed last week, and since then, and my mom was like, "No, we're only gonna buy healthy shit for the house and whatever." And he's like, "I don't like that as much." So my grandmother bought 10 boxes of sugar smacks and brought them to the house for him.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
If he loses his feet, all I'm going to do is think about being in Oregon with him and call him Mr. Stubby.
Yeah. In all fairness, he doesn't use them much anyway. These days. By the way, if you are watching the live stream on YouTube,
we just
Facebook,
lost one.
Whatever. That's
just watch the number go down.
Fuck him. It was probably my dad. But
oh my god.
So you can comment on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter actually, and they'll pop up on here in theory. And
I know YouTube and Facebook does. I don't know how Twitter works because it's Periscope through Twitter, so I don't know.
Yeah, who the fuck knows?
Right?
Who uses Periscope? Like, I feel like people.
It was
really
big popular for a minute. Yeah.
But I feel like that the only time it's used now is as an interface to stream to Twitter, because that's the only way to do it since they're own. But we were talking about it, like we were going to be on Instagram as well.
Yeah.
But Instagram will only broadcast, and it's not 4:3. It's the other. It's a weird. It's like 13:9 or something stupid like that. And they're owned by fucking Facebook. So why can't they get their goddamn shit together?
I don't know.
Like they've clung hard.
This much of us,
right? They've clung very hard on being a phone or mobile device only platform. They don't want to become the next Flickr,
I guess.
You remember Flickr?
I barely. I don't know that I was ever on Flickr.
I Googled it the other day, and an old Flickr page I had that when I wasn't stationed here that we put pictures of Lyric and shit on, still exists, and I have no idea how I used to log into it. So there's pictures of my child just floating out there on the interwebs. Yeah. Nice. And pictures of me and Jesse when she was still pretty fucking fat from the baby. So that's kind of funny. But yeah. Been to the gym 5 days this week, so that's my. I feel like after getting by for a week, if I can get 2, then I'm in a habit, and I'll do okay with it. But, hey, there's your sister just commented some shit on there. What the fuck did she say?
Porter's also watching and wants to know if this is the big bad fat guy. Yes, it is.
Yeah,
this is my niece that we said she couldn't come over and live with me because you were mean and you didn't like kids and you're super fat and we'll probably eat her.
How
she's 4.
Why the fuck is she watching this podcast?
I don't know.
It's
probably muted if I had to guess.
Is that her kid?
Yeah, it's her oldest.
Jessica, you're a terrible goddamn mother.
Yeah, you might as well take her to a funeral tomorrow. So speaking of funerals, so my grandma, I said earlier, my grandmother passed, right? So in the age of COVID, they were doing family only visitation, viewing, whatever you want to call it. And then graveside family only. I think it's family only graveside after that. And my grandmother was diagnosed with COVID, I don't know, a week or 2 before she died, something like that. And they would only let one person per 24 hours come to visit when she was in the hospital. And then when she was in the went to the nursing home, hospice, whatever, my stepmom's the one that spent most of the time with her before she died. And then 2 or 3 days ago, my stepmom was diagnosed with COVID.
Okay.
And then yesterday, my stepsister, Will, if you've listened to that many episodes back, his biological sister was diagnosed with COVID. And so she has her husband and 3 kids that live with her. Yeah. Now she says they're not going to go to the funeral tomorrow out of respect for everyone else.
Okay.
But so Jessica and I have decided, and we've had a big sibling text back and forth all week between the 5 of us siblings, that we're not going to go to the visitation.
Really?
We're just going to go graveside. It's outside. We'll keep our distance from everyone. Because my dad's one of those guys that refuses to wear a mask for the most part.
Right.
I mean, lives with my stepmom, so probably has it.
Okay. Because America.
Right.
Yep.
So, yeah. So there's that. That brings the COVID count up to, for people that I'm related to, the COVID diagnosis count is up to 10.
Oh, shit.
I say diagnosis because one person in the family didn't get diagnosed, but the doctor said, your husband has it, your daughter has it, you're around them both every day, so you have it. And
okay.
So, yeah, that's 10.
That's crazy. I think I've had 3. My mom, my mom was over in like 2 days. Like she was fine. She just couldn't taste shit for like a day and a half. And then my sister and her youngest got it, but I think it was no big deal for them. But
yeah,
her oldest, the one that they think might have it. If he does, he's like a fucking plague carrier, man. He's the one that won't get sick usually, and then gets every fucking body else sick. And so if he gets fucking COVID, like he's a walking biological weapon.
Asymptomatic carrier.
Yeah. I think he'll get it, and then it'll mutate into some like COVID-20, and then wipe out the rest of them.
The thing about being on camera live like this, I guess being on camera at all, is I have realized more that I do it more often than I thought. I absolutely adjust my balls a lot.
You do,
and you can see it. I think you can see it on camera.
See, I was hoping you wouldn't notice, because that's one of my favorite parts about this podcast.
Yeah, is it?
Which, if you're watching and we seem like we're getting along better, it's because we kissed and made up earlier.
Yeah,
we've had some underlying tension that that we got rid of.
I don't know how underlying it actually was.
Yeah. Well, we just hadn't talked about it, because it wasn't necessary.
Because we're men.
Had we not, it would have taken care of itself eventually.
Yes.
Or we'd have just quit the podcast. It would have been
we're men.
Because we're men.
Well, I mean, you have a very strong track record of just quitting things.
Other than marriage.
Okay. Those are pretty big things.
Well, the first time it is. The second time, you'd be surprised how easy that is.
How's the third time going to go?
Third time's going well.
Oh,
I don't think we're going to head down that road.
You don't think? I think you're supposed to say we're not going to.
No, I don't think. I can't control what she does. I would leave me.
Yeah.
I've tried to leave myself a couple of times and haven't been able to.
I'll never leave you.
What was it that Hunter said on Twitter earlier? That listens don't count?
Yeah, listens don't count when you're sitting in a tub holding a toaster.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. My immediate thought was he would never fucking do that. He's going out with pills if he goes out.
I don't know.
I think you would.
Pills are like pretty easy. I don't think I would, though. I think it would be something way more glorious.
You think so?
Oh yeah.
Suicide by cop.
Yeah. That's actually not a bad idea.
It's not. I mean, if you're Catholic and you believe you can't commit suicide, you go to hell, you go suicide by cop.
I actually always thought it would like one of the best things is ruin other people's days or lives along with you. So like, if I say jumped off a really tall bridge into fucking rush hour traffic, you're gonna land on somebody's head and people are gonna get fucked up. There'll be kids telling their kids one day, be like, one time when I was your age, we were driving down the road and some fucking guy just flew out of nowhere and landed on my fucking hood. Yeah. That's so yeah. It'll be good. But what I was saying is I've been to the gym 5 days a week. So I'm trying to get a pattern, because I am getting progressively fatter in this yellow shirt and my posture does not help at all.
It's really interesting though that you didn't hit record on the Roadcaster.
Oh shit, I did not.
So you'll have to pull audio from the video.
Yep, I'll have to do that. But I'm gonna go ahead and record now.
Yeah.
Oh shit, I can't believe that. We were so focused on our new technology over here.
I know, that's funny.
I'll cut that in. That means I'm gonna have to use just the stereo mix out and won't be able to mix it much, but it's just two of us, so whatever.
That's fine.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, whatever. I don't know what that does. That's just our counter. Okay, cool. I'm just gonna start pushing shit. I can believe it, but god damn it.
I had thought you hit it, but it's when you reached over and hit the pad for the music.
I was really I was thinking about the old man dicks that I just absorbed this week.
Yeah, because you're going to the gym and you're going to the Y.
Yeah, right. Because it's cheaper.
Well, sure,
it's awesome. It's $75 for the whole fucking family. They got a pool and shit. So, but my favorite part about this particular one is like they have some newer gear, but aesthetically, the shit hasn't been remodeled since like the late 70s. So it still has that very old school.
Right.
Why the only difference is in the showers, we could tell they used to be open showers because there's only one drain in the center. There's dividers between everything now, but you still get the old guys that have probably been going to the Y for fucking ever. That just like walk around like back and forth, just fucking dick and balls swinging around. And dude, I have seen, like I said on Twitter earlier, it's 10 or 15 old man dicks in the last week and a half. It's a lot. And I've always like, will my dick ever be that big? These guys are 90 years old and their dicks are like fucking,
I think it just gravity takes over.
Right.
And then
finally you
hypertension, and so
you eventually transition from a grower to a shower.
I guess probably
because it can't grow anymore. So it just kind of all that built up skin just kind of.
How do you think you are if you don't take any pills, any Viagra, Cialis, or whatever? How old do you think you are when you can't get it up anymore? I mean, obviously it's a case by case basis, but in general,
I would say in general,
if you're if you're a healthy man,
I would say somewhere in your 60s.
You think so? You think that young?
I'd say it starts. It would start because you biologically your testosterone starts dropping significantly at 40, and then usually on through.
I'm almost there,
right? But well, not like it's like on the. Well, I always found funny when people use ages as like a cutoff, like so because magically the single day all this shit starts happening.
Sure,
but I know it starts dropping, and again, some people produce more than others, diet, blah 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 blah. But by the time you're 65, like every male has a significant drop in testosterone for the most part. And so I would think like mid 60s is when it starts.
So do you think that it doesn't work? Do you think your libido goes, or is it a mixture?
I think it's a mixture of both.
I think so.
Yeah. Because your fucking old ass heart's got to keep blood in it.
Yeah.
But I found it odd because I was thinking about it, and just these dudes just walking, dick and balls out, fucking their raggedy old saggy man asses. And it's such a different time because back in the day in men's, like there was nothing homoerotic or fucking gay about that shit. They were just men's locker rooms, dudes walk around naked. That's one reason why they had guys like only spas and gyms and shit like that. I mean, I guess for diddling boys, but also
it's the YMCA,
right? But dudes usually just like used to back in the day. Cause I remember going to the gym with my dad. There was this, gym in Columbia, Tennessee. It was and they stayed all dudes to like the 90s, and they kind of got forced to close. But like locker room and shit, like everybody was just fucking naked, and I was like, "What the hell?" Not fucking naked, but
that's strange to me. Naked in a locker room is strange to me.
Right.
I mean, I played sports growing up in school, football and things like that, and I've never walked around a locker room.
But again, that changed. That started shifting.
Sure.
Like when we were younger. But like like military, at least with Coast Guard, Army, Marine, I can know about Air Force, but I mean, it's still open. Like they have the ones at the post in the middle of it, and then like the shower heads around it. So you're all
facing each other.
Yeah, facing each other naked, so it's fucking eye contact. And I remember specifically somebody would drop something and everybody would just get fucking quiet.
Yeah. So what's really fun is when you, so like when we started going to a gym here, and Matthew's my youngest son, and he was in his teenage years, not old enough to drive yet though. And we
lost your sister.
Probably. Yeah. We started talking about naked men and fucking like, well, maybe my daughter didn't need to hear that. But so anyway, and we're going to the gym, and I'm in the locker room. Matthew's in the locker room, and he, like I said, teenager, but not old enough to drive yet. And these old men are walking around. It's the greatest thing ever to watch how uncomfortable they are, especially when the old man comes next to you. When the old man walks over by you, and he's like drying off and toweling his ass crack, and like turns his dick right in your face and everything, and just to watch how a young man tries so hard to divert his eyes from a dick, but you can't help but look. You can't help but look. Yeah. I've stared many an old man brown eye right down the barrel. You can't help but look.
But it's weird because, and I think a lot of it's just because of our culture and how worried we are about getting molested and people doing shit. It's like, it's not a sexual thing at all, but people like nudity is so uncomfortable for people, and I'm uncomfortable with it. Like I don't like it, but like but I mean, just my background and shit, it doesn't bother me, but it's still weird, I
was fixing to say, do you remember? But you wouldn't have been you'd have been being homeschooled.
Secret wrestling camp.
That you would try to walk by the girls' locker room, like. You'd slow down and walk by the girls' locker room and try to keep your head straight, but turn your eyes to the locker room and shit like that was just, I don't know. When I played football, we had this, one of the black guys on the team was just, I'm sure they all were, but I only saw one of them.
Right.
And I mean, just at 17 years old, just fucking hung like a horse.
Yeah.
And he would grab his boxers up and wrap it around his dick and like shake it at you. Right. Shit, all the time.
Now that's a little homoerotic, but that was
the straightest guys in the world do shit like
dominance is what it is. It's a dominance thing.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's something that you can't get out of like any testosterone fueled being is just that desire to dominate.
Well, that's one of the things. I mean, testosterone is the strongest drug in the world. I mean, that's why when someone transitions to male and they start taking testosterone, look out. I mean, that they can fucking kill somebody in the octagon.
Yeah, it's so fucking weird, man. It's a bitch. Well, I always found it funny because it's something you don't they don't mention specifically in the Bible, but like tradition back in ancient times, and not even to that long ago, but when your army conquered another army, you raped the shit out of the other army.
Oh yeah,
right.
Men, women, and children.
Yeah,
every one of them.
It was because it was showing up. Well, especially the other soldiers, because it was humiliating, and it showed that you would dominate them. Yeah, and that wasn't considered gay at all. It's like, no, it'd be like, hey, we won. I just beat you in this fist fight, so I'm gonna rape the shit out of your butthole. Like that's just.
But if it was understood by all sides, is it rape?
I don't know.
Or is it?
It's just cultural.
Losers consent.
Right. I don't know. But could you imagine that dude watching like a UFC fight and like some big fucking knockout happens and the dude just drops trout and just starts railing the dude in the butthole?
That would be so funny. I would pay for a pay-per-view.
Well, my thought, and I guess it has to be, but that's one thing you have to chalk up to testosterone, right? Because because there's no other way in the world without testosterone and endorphins pumping that you're gonna just murder somebody and then get hard enough to fucking put your dick in their butthole.
Maybe the adrenaline's going.
That's what I mean. Like the adrenaline.
Maybe that's what happened. Maybe that was the first time.
Oh, probably
they killed somebody. Their adrenaline's going, and they finished them, and they're like, and their dick was hard. Like, oh yeah, here we go.
Well, that's what
new tradition, buddy.
A lot, and it really came out a lot during the war when old Bush was president. But soldiers and the shit that they did to a lot of the dead bodies or whatever. But when you have a bunch of fucking 18, 19-year-olds in a war zone that you haven't prepared them for, like it's all that
testosterone's pumping and your adrenaline's pumping.
Like there's no respect for the people that you've killed. And it's not their fault. It's the accumulation of all that shit. And
it's a perfect storm. Yeah, I mean, it really is. I mean, that
doesn't make it okay, but I mean, you can't be surprised that shit happens.
Yeah. I heard a lawyer one time. I've heard him say it several times, but his dad was a lawyer as well, and he said his dad used to say all the time, "What is it?"
I was just looking at how long. Oh, I guess we had a lot of dead time before we went on. I was just looking at it. I was like, "Fuck, I missed a lot of recording time."
Maybe I don't know, 10 or 15 minutes, maybe.
Yeah, that's all right. All right, sorry.
But I heard him say his dad saying was like, because his dad was a defense attorney as well, was like, if you want to get rid of all the crime in America, you lock up all males from the age of like 14 or 15 to 27. Just lock them all up. And you can get rid of all the crime because that's your testosterone's running, your body's regulating, your brain's settling in your early to mid 20s. I mean,
well, that's why, and I've always had mixed feelings on this, but why some people would go a long way as a proponent of mandatory military service at 18.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, Israel still does that.
Yeah, well, a few countries do, but it kind of gives that age of just the pumping testosterone some rules and regulation and purpose. It directs it. So yeah,
it's not a bad thing. I mean, it's just if the military would be run a little better, you could definitely I think you'd have more people like my wife. Cause I said to my youngest son before, it's like, cause he said, "Oh, I'm thinking about the military a little bit." And I was like, I mean, if you need some direction or whatever, you want to get your school paid for, whatever, go to the military. Just go to the Air Force though.
Yeah.
Like go to the Air Force. And my wife, like, I thought she was going to divorce me. Like she was so mad for me telling him to go to the military. Yeah. Any branch of the military didn't matter.
Why? So just out of curiosity.
It's a mother's fear of war and death. And
did you tell her I said Air Force love?
Yeah. Well, that's what I said. All of these young kids, especially the ones into video games, Air Force, you can have a hell of a job, an entire career before you're 40 years old.
Well, Eli's thinking about early enlisting, and he can do that in April, I think, because Air Force.
Well, you look at drones. I mean, flying drones.
Right. Well, also right now, as far as because the Space Force, the only way to get into that is via the Air Force. Yeah. And essentially and I didn't realize this till I was in there with the recruiter, with Eli talking to him, is the Space Force essentially all they've done is taken the surveillance and satellite work from the Air Force in its own division now because it's gotten big enough for that. I mean, that and fighting aliens, obviously. Will Smith would have been in the Space Force.
Yeah, well, but I don't know. I mean, I would have to think that flying drones, killing people with drones or whatever, that the PTSD from the killing would be, and I have nothing to base this on except that.
Oh no, it's way less because you're disconnected.
That's right.
It's a video game. Like it's Call of Duty, man.
I mean, it's a case by case basis, but I think it's got to be way less traumatic than you're in the Army or Marines and you're right there.
Oh, 100%
firing a gun at somebody.
Well, it's also the difference between killing someone with your bare hands,
sure,
versus shooting somebody. I mean, it's all sucks, I'm sure, but like the level of,
or does it?
Right. I feel like it's the level of interaction you have or the level of direct responsibility you have over that death, like I feel like it probably gets progressively worse. Whether like if somebody was on you and you fucking like killed them with a fucking knife or your bare hands, like I'd imagine that's a little more like sits with you more than fucking shooting somebody.
Yeah.
And even more so like if you're fucking flying a jet and you're shooting missiles.
Yeah.
Back there, we were just sitting behind a computer screen, flying some shit out. Because if you think about it, not because there's no way for it to sink in that it was a human being.
Right.
If you're looking at a screen.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, most kids, if they're playing like Call of Duty and shit, they're fucking, in theory, killing people. Like if it was actually a real life scenario and they had no idea, it'd be the same.
Wasn't there a movie like that?
Gamer. Yeah, it was called Gamer.
Gamer. Because what's that guy's name? I can't think of his name now.
Patrick Ewing.
Magic Johnson. No. Which is an interesting name for someone that got AIDS.
Dude from 300. I'm completely.
I can't think of his name anyway. 300 is the only decent movie he's been in that I can.
No way. The one with that he's been in a couple rom-coms that were fucking fantastic. Gerard Butler.
Yes, that's his name.
Did you ever see his movie? Oh shit, the one he's in with Jamie Foxx. Fuck. I can't remember.
That's another good one. Yes. Yeah. No. Something man. I was gonna say a dangerous man, a dangerous man, or something like that. But yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. But anyway, yeah, I forgot where I was going. But yeah, Gamer, where people were playing video games with prisoners,
right?
So,
but anyway, so Air Force or military was Amanda's surprisingly okay with it. She preferred obviously being Air Force or Coast Guard, some shit like that, but because she doesn't want the thought of getting shot at. I've even told him like, dude, you don't want to be a bullet sponge. Like you want to, do something that's going to benefit you in the long run. Blah 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 blah. And he's smart enough to, to get into some of those because, they have standards.
Sure. Showing footage from Normandy.
Right. But I do find that interesting because a lot of before PTSD was a diagnosed thing and it happened a lot, like a lot of these old could you imagine the dudes from the Civil War, how fucked up they must have been when they came home?
Oh, yeah. Right. I mean, but there's so many different things about the Civil War to come home fucked up from.
Right.
I mean, there's just,
death
was so much less.
Even World War I,
well.
like I feel like that it's fucked people up, but I feel like a lot of it stayed the same because the emotional and mental fortitude of people in general now has lessened, but so has the degree of the violence and the conflict. You know what I mean? So it's been this weird thing because not that they handled it well, because that's why the fucking VFWs exist. So those guys can talk about their shit and joke or whatever the fuck they need to do. But as if it seems like, again, not basing this off anything but my own observation, anecdotal, whatever. But the further away, I guess the quote unquote weaker, like fortitude, mentally, emotionally, people have gotten, it hasn't changed. Like the PTSD has almost gotten higher, even though the level of interaction with the killing has gotten less. Well,
the killing has also gotten cleaner as well. I mean, as far as like with the rifled barrels and all that. I mean, it's a pretty for the most part clean.
And that's not taken away because like you get in a situation where you see your friends and shit die. That's a whole different story.
And that's the biggest thing that I think, not asked him before, but I think that's the biggest thing that kind of fucked up my brother when he first got back.
Right. Well, even talking to, like one thing that was interesting when we talked to CQ, which we need to have him back on at some point, is it was not so much the shit that you did in combat. It was the shit either seeing your buddies get fucked up or the shit that you saw that you had no control over, that didn't have he's like he said, it's one thing if you shoot somebody, they're shooting at you, but when fire goes astray and hits a kid or a civilian or something like that, that's the shit that stays with you.
Was told directly, do not engage someone, and this man, without saying it, this man was raping a kid.
That's what it sounded like.
In the alley.
Right. When funny people will hear that and they'll be like, "Oh, I would have done something." Like, no, you don't know in this situation.
When you're young and you've been trained, brainwashed, whatever you call it, into taking orders, and you're told do not engage, you don't fucking engage. Right. Well, it's a rare person in the military that goes ahead and does what.
And I don't even think a lot of times it's not brainwashing. You just know what the consequences can be if you disobey, and it takes a pretty big ordeal to.
Well, it's also one of those things you have to ask: is there a greater good? Is there an actual bigger and target that's more important? That if you shoot that person doing that, tips that off, and now that's screwed.
Well, but even then you got to realize, like, if that happens, you might be in the brig, you could get court-martialed. There's all kinds of things. Like the only time, and you hear this all the time, and fucking movies and shit, but if it's an unlawful order.
Yeah.
But an unlawful order is not doing shit that you think is wrong. An unlawful order would be like, hey, I want you to fucking, lie under oath at this trial you're at. Like, that's an order. That's an unlawful order. Or, hey, I want you to go and kill that kid because he looked at us funny.
Yeah.
That's an unlawful order.
Sure.
But, being told to stand down for some shit, no matter how bad it is not, it might violate your moral code, but it's not an illegal.
Sure.
That's how they look at it. But
yeah.
Anyway, this got fucking dark, dude.
It did. So you have a WikiHow, right?
Oh, I've got so many good things tonight.
So let's go WikiHow.
I agree.
And then maybe we'll break and come back with your Reddit stuff, because I feel like the Reddit could take a while.
It could.
So
we've talked about this before, and I've gotten aware for this podcast. I fucking love WikiHow because you can literally find instructions to do almost anything you would want to learn how to do in the world.
Right. But now this is user updated, right? There's no like professional verification of any of it.
Well, I think there's
just like Wikipedia.
Kind of, yeah. But even Wikipedia requires sources and shit. But
sometimes.
But at the end, no, they always do. They'll take an article.
Well, I know you're not allowed to use it. You're not allowed to reference a Wikipedia article in college.
Right. But I'm just saying, but they've gotten better as far as, because they'll take an article down if there's, well, let me rephrase that. They'll
if it's reported.
If they catch it, yeah. But so tonight I want to dedicate this to Jordan, our good buddy.
Mm-hmm.
And and also probably to Hunter, because he probably has no idea, because he strikes me as the only time that he gets laid is after hours at a YMCA. Like that's his game. Anyway, so this WikiHow,
he could have made a killing on his OnlyFans if he'd went to the YMCA and put up flyers in the locker room. He could have made a killing,
probably. Yeah. So I want to start regularly learning on this. Sure. This is an educational podcast.
All right.
And
so what are we learning tonight?
Tonight we are learning how to have phone sex.
God, I hope my wife's listening.
Right. And the other great part of WikiHow, by the way, is there's a Q&A section at the bottom of every article where people can ask for clarification and get answers from people. So here we go. How to have phone sex.
Okay.
Phone sex is a great way to spice up your sex life, whether you're doing it because your partner is far away, or because you're not ready to have other kinds of sex together yet because you want to try something new, or any other reason. That sentence made no sense, and I did not misread that.
Okay. Let me interject something. Did you know that there are, yes, you knew that there are interactive sex toys. Like there are like what do they call them? Male strokers or whatever that.
Right.
But that you can, they will Bluetooth connect with your computer or something, and you can sync them up to the porn. So whatever's happening in the porn, that's the rhythm it's taking. Did you know that there's one that you can buy your woman or man a dildo to go with, and as they move the dildo in and out, the stroke
that's cool as shit.
No matter where you at, they don't have to be on the same wireless network.
Right.
They just have to be on
go
connected somehow, and they will connect each other.
I had something like that. I mean, they called it a Wii Vibe, and like
I've heard of a Wii Vibe.
You can control it from your phone no matter where. But they had a big data breach and people's personal information and shit. So we got like $400.
Nice.
That shit. Yeah. Anyway. But I did not know that. That is very interesting, and I'm going to look into that.
I wish I could think. I'll find out what it is.
Right. Okay.
In a minute.
But to have great phone sex, you need to let loose, stop being self-conscious, and get ready to be turned on, no matter how silly you may feel at first. So there's two parts to this. Part one, preparing. Set up a phone date. While it's true that, as with any kind of sex, phone sex can just happen, the session is more likely to go well if you've planned ahead, especially if it's your first time doing it together. Pick a time when you're both alone and feel free to let your inhibitions loose. Your plan won't work if you're rolling around in bed feeling hot and heavy while your partner is shivering on the rain outside of the library. Who says? That might be like fucking cold ass library masturbation might be a fetish. If your partner is new to phone sex or feeling unsure, consider sending them an article or reading it together, as we are doing right now. Don't forget, you can always discuss what you'd like to do during phone sex before you start.
Good Lord. It's just taking any fun and spontaneity out of it.
2, let loose and get in the mood.
Does anyone plan phone sex?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like if you're both away working different schedules and shit.
I guess.
But even then, I feel like it should be more of a, hey, if you feel like it later, maybe we should do this, and you just let it go where it goes.
Sure. I mean, because that happens normally. Like, I
Right.
think guys throw that kind of shit out there all the time.
Yeah.
Like walking out the door for work in the morning, like, hey, maybe we'll,
Right.
whatever.
Yeah, well, it was like fucking Gabe and Kelsey the other day. Like they'd be like, "That's whatever." It's like it's no different than sexting, except you're actually talking to each other.
I feel like we need to redo all of that because there's a lot of questions that didn't get asked.
Yeah.
That, I mean, you would have to be the one to ask most of them. Otherwise, it's just weird.
Oh, fair enough. Anyway, so let loose and get in the mood. It will be difficult. Oh, that's what we just said that. It will be difficult for you to enjoy yourself if you feel tense or silly. So before you call, do whatever you need to do to get yourself comfortable and feeling sexy. Let loose. Lie in bed for a while. Browse the internet. Have a glass of wine. Jog on the spot. Do a silly song and dance in front of the mirror. Anything that will allow you to release the tension in your body. Jerk off.
Jerk off. Jerk off.
Get in the mood. Setting up a sexy atmosphere can help you get in the right frame of mind. So consider doing whatever you do to prepare for any other kind of sex.
If you're
Here are
just
some ideas.
If you're just joining us, because I saw the number move, we're
learning how to have phone sex.
Steven's reading the WikiHow on how to have phone sex.
Right.
So,
all right. So, do the things you consider doing to prepare for any other kind of. Who prepares to have sex? Like I think of the 40-year-old virgin in this when he lights the candles and he's doing his shit anyway. So, let's see.
You don't prepare for sex. You don't go and like, I don't know.
Sometimes if I know it's going down, yeah, but otherwise. So here are some ideas. You tidy up your room and make the bed, dim the lights, set up some candles, play some soft music, have a bath or a shower, and a shave if you'd like. Think of a role play to spice up the call. Put on or take off your favorite sexiest clothes and underwear. Get out some fucking sex toys. Turn yourself on by gently caressing your body, thinking about your lover, or imagining sexual encounters with people you're not going to have phone sex with. I paraphrase that. But don't let yourself get too turned on yet. That's what the phone call is for.
Oh, my God.
All right. So here we go. Part 2.
Do you think whoever wrote this was like jerking off while they're writing?
Oh, absolutely. I was jerking off while I was reading it earlier. Part 2 of 2. Having the phone sex.
All right.
Number 1, begin the call. Once you and your partner are on the phone, take things at a speed you're both comfortable with. There's no correct way to have phone sex. If it helps you relax, spend a few minutes chatting before you get started. Don't let yourselves get distracted from your sexy goal. A low, soft tone of voice or heavy breathing can help you set the mood. But don't force it if doing so is unnatural for you. Speaking and breathing comfortably if your normal tone of voice will be sexier than an awkwardly forced attempt at sounding sexy. Number 2, introduce a casual topic that will segue nice into a sexy talk. Getting started is possibly the hardest part, especially if it's your first time. Pick a topic that's easy for you to bring up, but which has some potential to spiral into steamier territories.
Baby, you're making me hotter than the fires of Australia.
Hey, did I tell you I went and visited my grandmother in the nursing home today? What you wearing, bitch? All right, so here's some examples of topics that could spiral into sexy things.
Yeah.
How much you miss them or wish they were there with you. What would you like to do if they were there with you? What you're wearing and how you would look in it.
Jesus.
I'm wearing overalls, motherfucker. What are you doing? How are you feeling? Ask your partner to describe any of the above to you. Number 3, escalate into sexy talk. Once you have the ball rolling and are feeling comfortable, try to get bolder with your descriptions or bring up new, sexier topics like Ryan Reynolds. A good approach is to describe, dude, I want to have phone sex and both of us talk like we're fucking Ryan Reynolds. That's some shit right there. 2 sides of the fucking triangle, man. Oh, let's see. Good ideas to approach or ask your partner to describe what you're doing. Ask for advice. Example, should I be playing with my underwear? Tell them you'd like them to do it if they're willing, but don't feel bad if you're not comfortable with touching yourself. You can still let them know that you're simply enjoying listening to them. And I find it funny that some people are still, I don't know whether it's religion, whether it's whatever, are really fucking weird about masturbation. People have some big hangups about that shit.
That is, yeah, you're right. That is,
especially I found women, like dudes will do it in shame. Like they'll cry and fucking use those tears for the lube.
Right.
But I have found that it's much more, and a lot of it's the church permeating shit, but it's like, like women either say, well, I don't, or they won't, or what the fuck ever. I don't know. You tell them what you're imagining, how you're feeling. Okay. Number 4, optional. Masturbate and orgasm. That's the optional step for phone sex. Mutual masturbation and orgasm are an excellent additions to phone sex, but they're not required by any means. You can't just have phone blue balls. Don't worry if one or both of you fail to reach orgasm. Think of it as icing on the cake rather than the goal of the exercise. Like, fuck it. If I'm having some phone sex and I don't fucking blow my shit, like there's something terribly went awry.
I mean, I would venture to say that that a guy is more likely to than the female, but maybe not.
Well, if they masturbate regularly and they know how to get themselves off, there's no, unless they're just not fucking in the mood.
At that point, there's no need for the phone.
I disagree.
There's no need for it. I mean,
my favorite, number 5, finish having phone sex. The point at which you decide to stop is up to you. There's no need to wait for an orgasm or indeed to stop just because you've both come. There's no rule on how quickly you should end the call after finishing. Some people prefer ending the call as soon as their breathing has gone back to normal, whereas others prefer to stay on the line and chit chat. Let your partner how much you enjoyed yourself before you end the call. Send a thank you note.
Okay, I was like, hold on a minute, what?
Yeah, so that's how you have phone sex. I never knew.
Lord.
But evidently, some people, like our guest last week, have no, and I guess like people don't really talk on the phone. Plus, you have FaceTime now,
right?
So you can be like, put that fucking phone in your butt crack. Like, let me see what you got going on down there. But yeah. So do you want some of the Q&A? Maybe you can answer the questions.
Yeah, actually, I would like to.
Is there any harm in having phone sex every day?
I mean, I would think that just like anything that could kind of work, it's like doing anything every day. It's not as special anymore. It's just not. It's just not.
So sex is special to you?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Is it because it's special? Because it's like a treat?
Nah, I don't know what it is. I mean, but yeah, it's not. I've never once thought of it as a chore or something I have to go do or whatever. But yeah, sure. Why is it not
special? Why is it?
How often are you having sex?
Whenever I can.
But how often are you?
It's declined a bit lately, but usually it's 3 or 4 times a week.
Exactly. The more you have it, the less special it is.
It doesn't matter. It's a physical, like biological thing that all people do. It's not like fucking taking a trip to Paris.
I understand that. It's still something special, and the more you do it, the less special it is.
I guess
it's just like if you love the beach, if you move to the beach, eventually you just live there, and it's not as special.
But to me, calling it special implies that like it's not as good if you have it more often.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
I know, but that's what's inferred.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, no, that's not what I'm saying.
So, anyway, do you use the term "make love" ever?
No, not seriously. I've done it ironically.
Like, I mean, if
I'm singing some Boys to Men or something.
All we say is "fucking." Like that's our special romantic term. Okay, so why do couples do this in the first place? Why can't they just do this in real life? Well, they're fucking douchebag. It would be really weird to sit across the table from each other on the phone having phone sex,
right?
But I think they mean, why don't they just fuck in real life? Which to me is a stupid question, because if you're somebody that travels and you're fucking gone for a month, like, why would you not have phone sex?
Right.
Of some kind. Because it's more special to wait. Okay. One question. Can we use FaceTime?
Right.
It's a question.
Video sex.
Well, yeah, but the person, like, can you use Face? Like, they're asking if it's okay to have sex via FaceTime. Like, fucking do what you want, dude. My favorite.
I feel like it's someone that's just stupid and is asking, is it considered phone sex if I use FaceTime?
Yeah, I guess so. Here's my favorite one. What if I don't own a phone? That is a legitimate question.
Okay.
He hung up on me. What do I do? That's a question.
Yeah. You go get one of his friends. You have live sex with him, take photos and send it to them.
Yeah. He hung up on me. What do I do?
Okay.
What if I'm underage and want to have phone sex?
I mean, it's safer than not, as long as, well, I don't know, I guess with screenshots and stuff.
Can I catch an STD from phone sex? These are real questions, dude.
Oh my God. I weep for the future.
In my favorite one, won't Apple track me down and store the sounds of my orgasm to post on the internet?
I mean, depending on how your settings are, possibly.
Oh my
God! If Apple's not, then Alexa or Google.
Alexa's a dirty bitch.
Yeah.
I wouldn't care if somebody like for some reason decided to fucking record me
If
fucking
you want
plowing.
the sounds of me having
Right.
Wow.
Somebody does. Somebody at home, if they heard your sex sounds, would be like, oh God, oh God. Yeah. I mean, I do. When I'm outside of your window,
Yeah.
I don't pay attention to whatever Chris is doing, dude. I'm all about watching.
I don't know
that
how you get
balls
the ladder in and out off the deck that quietly. But yeah,
I'm very sneaky.
It works for me.
Oh my God. So have you participated in the phone sex? Yeah. Why? If the opportunity's there.
Yes. If that's your only option.
Yeah.
Then yeah, why not?
Oh, sometimes I just go in the other room and we just fucking have phone sex back. Oh yeah, absolutely.
I got you.
Yeah, like when I'm tucking the kids in.
Yeah.
You know,
I yell back and forth like, you're too loud. I hear you for real, not just through the phone.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, I think the phone sex is cool. I like it.
Yeah, if that's your only option,
oh yeah,
fine. Yeah, there's nothing wrong. Or whatever. If it's something to spice it up every once in a while, maybe you're on your way home and you're having some phone sex to get everything going.
Mm-hmm.
I can see that.
I
definitely know someone I could see doing that.
That's phone foreplay.
Sure, but
it's not phone sex. It's phone foreplay.
Foreplay is a part of sex.
If you're a bitch,
or if you're just a good lover, if you're an attentive lover.
Foreplay is. But I've got to say, a lot of people are different with different kinds of foreplay. Like, I'm not a huge blowjob guy.
Okay.
Like that, I get tired of fucking gagging.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So, all right, hold on, and I'm running a huge chance at really sidetracking us here.
Sidetractoring.
Yeah. Have you ever heard the term dick broom? No, seriously. Have you ever heard? I never had it either. It's a mustache. It's a dick broom.
I like that. I like that.
Never heard that before.
No, dick broom. It's apt. Well, I told you that guy that I worked with that called that guy Ballpark.
Oh,
it's like because he always had balls parked on his chin, and he can't call people gay at work no more. Yeah, right. I like that. Well, my favorite, I like cockholster. It's a great name for a mouth.
Sure.
But yeah, anyway. So like, I'm not a big fan. Like, don't get me wrong. I enjoy blowjobs.
Sure.
But it's not like, I'm not a dude that's like, oh yeah, you got it. It doesn't do that much. It's a fun part to throw in there, but I'm not a big blowjob guy.
You're saying you can't get off with a blowjob, or?
It's very, very challenging.
Okay.
But even so, like, it's not like, I'd rather be up in them guts.
Exactly. So what I'm saying is, I know guys that prefer that over anything, just like they prefer anal over anything,
which is weird.
And I'm like, how are you getting a blowjob and someone shoving something in your ass at the same time? But I mean, no, I know
not
guys,
as hard as you think.
I know guys that prefer a blowjob to anything, and I don't get it.
No.
Why? When there's a perfectly God-made vagina right there.
Yeah. Well, that and I don't know. I'm not a big,
because then at least you could look them in the eyes.
Let us know in the chat. Do you like blowjobs? Do you like giving blowjobs?
Yeah.
We'll listen.
Yeah, sure.
If you have advice, we just learned how to have phone sex.
Yeah.
But we are also a plethora of information that we can share to anyone watching. They just
for sure
tap in and let us know. But how do you guys feel about blowjobs?
All right. Fuck, marry, kill. Blowjobs.
Well, I know, like Hunter, for instance, like that's one reason why he's got that big fucking jaw, because he works that shit all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
but to me, I mean, I don't know, but everybody has different kinks and different things that they're into, just depending on where they came from. Like some people, there's no way they're putting their mouth on a booty hole. I'm all about that shit.
Yeah, but, I'm neither here nor there with them. Right. Fine.
But I'm not a fan of having a mouth on my booty hole.
All right.
Feels like a weird slug.
Never have had that happen. So.
I have it once, and I did not love it.
All right.
I wasn't like, oh God, but because I'm pretty like, I'll do anything once, like anything one time.
Yeah.
But well, there's increments, right? Like I wouldn't be a big fan of somebody putting a fist in my butthole, but we can try a finger. If I like the finger, then how it goes. But you gotta start slow.
So I looked up that sex toy that I told you. It's by Kiiroo, whatever, Kiiroo.
Ryu.
Yeah. So it's called the Onyx Plus.
Yeah.
And
Mackie has a preamp called the Onyx.
Oh yeah,
which is funny.
Redefining pleasure once again. So how it works? You got to watch video. I'm not doing that.
Yeah. Well, I can imagine how it works. I don't even know the technology behind it.
So the Onyx Plus has 3 modes: interactive mode, manual mode, and automatic mode. Whether you want a 1-to-1 connection or an interactive experience with your favorite webcam star or an immersive erotic content, we have you covered.
You know, honestly, if I was still traveling, I would buy one of those fucking things in a heartbeat.
You can connect to your lover's device. So like I said, while they're using the vibrator, you're getting the same movement,
right? Which
brings a whole new level to phone sex,
right?
You can connect to a 3D or VR interactive videos.
Could you imagine if you guys were doing this mutually? You had the you just agreed, even if you weren't on the phone, like if you weren't on the phone together, and she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna fuck myself with this," and then you do that, or vice versa, and it works together. What if some dude had that tied onto his dick and was plowing your fucking wife, and it was getting you off at the same time, and you had no idea?
That brings a new meaning to cuckold.
I know, right?
That's insane.
Yeah. I mean, it's got to be a whole fucking genre of videos out there. Like some big old black bull with this big old fucking dick that's got one of these on top of it, just plowing this fucking little tiny white lady, and her husband's there in a fucking polo shirt and khakis with that thing over his dick. Oh Jesus Christ! I'd watch that shit at least once. At least once.
All right, I gotta save that.
What's the weirdest shit you've ever jerked off to?
Spaghetti.
No, it's not with.
It's not that weird.
Not with.
Not into, but I mean, no. Weirdest thing I've ever jerked off to.
I mean, you're not as a fucking
old school Faces of Death movies. No.
Well, I say you're not as skeezy of a fucked up person as I am in that regard.
You'd be surprised.
I wouldn't be surprised.
All right.
I'm talking about the shit you jerk off to.
Yeah, I mean what's the craziest thing?
Schindler's List.
the actual list, though.
The actual list.
The actual list. I was at the Holocaust Museum. They did not like that. It's like, here's your white power.
I did not see that coming.
That's what they said.
Oh, God damn it. You guys are welcome for that one. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Have you ever, okay, maybe not jerked off to. What's the weirdest situation that you have ever jerked off in? Not necessarily in front of people.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, when you're a teenager, you'll do it in some crazy places. Yeah. So
you ever jerked off in church?
In church or at church? During church?
Well, not in the service, but like I've excused myself from the service and
I'm
the bathroom.
Pretty sure I did that when I was a teenager. Pretty sure.
Yeah.
I can remember doing it in the van on the way home from town when I was, I don't know, whatever, 14 years old or whatever.
23.
With my stepmom driving, and I was perfect view if she turned around to ask a question, whatever. Like if she had turned around to ask me anything, I would have been busted.
Yeah, and that's what people don't realize too. A lot of that aren't dudes or young boys. Like you don't even have to have something that turns you on. You can think about nothing and fucking jerk that dick.
Yeah,
it doesn't have to be inspired at a certain age.
Well, when you're that age, though, anything can turn you on.
Fucking gust of wind.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, whatever.
Yeah. Your sister wearing that low cut top. I mean, Jesus.
Yeah, really.
My sister wearing that low cut top.
What was I gonna? Oh man, there's some. Oh, do you remember how old you were, or maybe not how old you were, but the first time you ever saw something that could legitimately be called porn, and it doesn't have to be.
Yeah,
you don't have to be moving pictures.
No,
right. It could be a magazine.
Well, they were like, no, my grandfather used to keep fucking Playboys in the downstairs bathroom. So like I was probably 10, 11. And I didn't know, it wasn't like, it was just like, oh shit, what is this? And then when you're at a certain age, the first time I saw it, I remember being like, oh.
Yeah. I remember the first time I saw it.
But it still made, I was like, it makes my pants feel funny, but I don't really like it.
Well, I was intrigued the first time I saw it, and I was either in kindergarten or first grade.
Oh shit! I
was at a friend's house, and he was like, "Hey, check this out," and just pulled his dick out, and I was like, "All right, I'm intrigued." No, he was like, "Check this," and he goes and he gets out of like his dad's dresser, and he pulls out a magazine. I don't remember if it was like Playboy or Hustler or whatever, but I just remember him just opening it to one page, and it was not it was a full page of this woman just standing there.
Okay.
Nude.
I was gonna say in the words of Wheeler Walker Jr. Did it show the clit?
No, it didn't. It did not. No. That's what makes me think it probably was Playboy. But I remember seeing that going, okay, I'm interested in this.
Yeah.
Like I'm not sure what's happening, but I know this is an interesting thing. So interesting that later on I snuck back in there and pulled it out and looked at it again when he didn't know about it. But I was like,
he was sleeping
because yeah. Yeah. But I was kindergarten or first grade.
Okay.
So, do you remember woods porn?
Oh yeah.
You would just randomly find pieces of a Playboy or something that had been torn out or whatever, just laying in the woods.
Yeah.
Just laying there. And that was a great day when you found that. You're like, all right, I'm going to hide this under a rock somewhere.
Just
and
found me some titties.
I'm coming back. And it may only be tits. It may have be torn out and it's just some tits. Like, I can jerk off this just tits.
Right.
I can do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But when you first start finding it, you don't think about the fact that you need to take that somewhere, because if you just hide it under a rock, it's going to disintegrate and not be there when you come back.
You got to let it shine.
Well, sure. Sure. Yeah. Don't hide that porn under a bushel.
Right. Gotta let it shine.
Oh, God.
Oh, man. Well, you want to take a quick break?
Yeah, let's take a quick 10, 15-minute break, and then we'll be back, and you have some Reddit
Oh,
shit
man. I got some
over.
good shit. Like, it's going to be good. I'm excited about it.
All right.
We'll be back shortly.
Yeah, we'll still be streaming, but you won't see us or hear us.
Yeah. I mean, you'll have a really cool thing that looks like this right here. So, not that we just lost somebody. We said we're going to break.
Like, they're going to break. I'm out of here.
All right. We'll be right back.
Yep.
Hey, everybody. We'd like to take a minute to tell you about a really cool podcasting app called Stitcher Premium.
Yeah, Stitcher Premium is, like you said, a free app, and they've got everything you could look for: true crime, comedy, pop culture, The Office ladies. I think Conan O'Brien's podcast is on there. There's lots of things on there.
And archives of all those things.
Oh, yeah. And smart lists.
Yeah, the smart lists. That's what I was about to say, you fuck. Smart lists basically will watch what you're listening to, or listen to what you're listening to, use some fancy algorithms, and make recommendations on shit that you already like.
Yeah, so if you go to Stitcher.com/premium and use the code B3F, you can get a month free. So it's $4.99 a month, or $34.99 if you pay for a full year. But use the code B3F and you'll get a free month.
Check it out. All right, we're back.
We are back.
Put it at 0, bitch. There. God damn it, you fucking asshole. So,
all right,
we're back.
Yeah.
To nobody.
Right.
Which is fine. All right. So, do you want to jump into this Reddit shit? Or do you have something else you want to talk about?
No, I thought I did, but if I did, I can't remember it.
That's fine.
I can't. That's fine.
Before we do this, I'm going to pour me a tad bit of powers. I'm digging it tonight. I haven't had it in a while. It tastes like alcoholism. So I always say, and I was thinking about something, and you brought this up once, and it got me thinking. And because we used to talk about, I said I was an alcoholic, right? And you said, well, once an alcoholic, you're always an alcoholic, and that is true. So I guess the best way to put it is I was a very heavy alcohol abuser.
Sure.
I think that's a more accurate statement.
Absolutely.
Alcohol dependent, maybe even might be a good word for a while. So, because I needed it to function. but alcoholic would be a strong word.
Well, and I've heard several people, but I'll use Dr. Drew, because I think everybody knows who Dr. Drew is. He's done a lot with addiction and things like that.
Right.
Talk about, like, one of the things is, like, does it affect your family life? Does it affect, or do you have negative consequences, meaning like loss of job, or is it affecting your job and things like that? Then that's a pretty good indicator that there's addiction or alcoholism going on there.
Right.
And I don't necessarily, I'm sure there were some negative effects for you, but it didn't cause anything to happen. So I don't know, whatever. Okay. But I think abuse is definitely an apt term.
Yep. Oh, Jesus, this is a long fucking story. Jesus Christ. All right, so I'm going to read just the synopsis.
I was going to say, explain what it is you're going over here.
So there's a subreddit And you're not a big Reddit guy. Neither
No,
am I.
I love Reddit, but I'm not. I don't have an
Right.
account. I don't almost ever go on there. So.
Same. But Amanda brought something up she had seen, and I'd forgotten about this subreddit, and it's called "Am I the Asshole?" And what it is people will post a question on there and explain their situation and ask basically for approval to be an ass. But they're like, hey, am I being an asshole with this?
Right.
And people will give feedback, whatever fucking stupid opinions they have. So basically, I feel like, it's just people wanting to, get justification for whatever asshole behavior.
Or just get the attention. Yeah.
Right. Okay. And some of these people, they write fucking novels on here. And I had a couple pulled up, but then I closed it. So.
And it's called "Am I an Asshole?"
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Am I the asshole?
Am I the asshole?
Yeah. God damn it. I'm trying to find one that was short. Like I said, I had a couple pulled up and then they closed accidentally. Let's see here. Here we go. This one's kind of long, but I'll give the synopsis. But this person is, am I the asshole for not letting my sister-in-law see my kids? So background. I'm a 31 female, never liked my sister-in-law, who's 34. She's my husband's half-sister. She's loud, rude, has 2 kids that my in-laws raise, swears constantly, and just isn't the type of person I would ever want to hang out with. In January 2018, my husband and I were invited over to my in-laws to watch the Super Bowl. This is before we had kids. My sister-in-law and her kids were there because she was living with them at the time after being fired from yet another job. She usually yells at her kids in a way I find inappropriate, but this night it was bad. She shamed her 12-year-old son in front of everyone for not taking her depression meds on time. Okay. Oh, for not. Okay. Her 12-year-old was supposed to take depression meds. Yep. She screamed at the 3-year-old for doing 3-year-old things and told her to shut up. Finally, the 3-year-old tried to hug her and she yelled at her to get the fuck off of me. I stood up and told her and my in-laws that I refused to be in a house where children were treated this way and left with my husband. He'd had enough of it too. Sister-in-law followed me out to the car screaming that I had no right to tell her how to raise her kids. She called me a bitch and other horrible names. I was in tears and actually afraid she was going to hurt me. My husband and I drove away. She continued to send me nasty texts until I blocked her, blah, 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 blah. Fast forward to today, I refuse to speak to her. We now have 2 kids of our own, 2 years, 4 months. I don't want to have them around my sister-in-law, which she keeps using the acronym SIL, which is fucking stupid. She has apologized to me and said she wants to beat her nephews. My husband and I don't want her around them because of the way she swears constantly and the way she treats her kids. My in-laws think that we're being unreasonable and unfair because that's just the way she is and always has been. So we see her at Christmas and Thanksgiving, and that's it. I don't speak to her, though. Am I being the asshole? Should I try to bury the hatchet and let her see them? I only want to protect my children.
I don't think you only want to protect your children. I don't think that's it. All right. I say if your husband doesn't want her to be around them, then that's what you go with because it's his sister.
Mm-hmm.
I think if your children were definitely if there was a threat of abuse or anything toward your own kids, right, then even if your husband was for it, then you kind of, for lack of a better term, put your foot down and say whatever. But are you the asshole? Yeah, I think you're one of the assholes in this.
Right.
Just by the way you're explaining the situation. You didn't have to lay out every negative thing about the person.
Right. I feel like with that situation is this lady dislikes the person very much and she's using her kids as an excuse not to have to deal with her, right, or whatever. So that's my whole thought with that bullshit.
Yeah.
And now granted, I wouldn't want my sister around my kids if she was always swearing and acting that way and just being a bitch. But then I would have a talk with her and be like, hey, you can see the kids, but these, the stipulations, like if you can't be swearing and all that stuff around them. And if you can't do that and be an adult, then no. But then at least you have an adult conversation about it. And then they have the choice whether they're going to act, right, because they're your kids, right? Now, if just whatever the case may be, but anyway, stupid. People are stupid. Like, how do you not? Why do you need to post that on the internet to get approval for? Because you're not sure. Like, most of the time, I feel like if you're posting something on here, you already know you're a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
And some of the people are legitimately like they have a good point, and they're just insecure. They need reinforcement, whatever the fuck it is. But I still find it funny they look for this on the internet.
Well, they also want someone to engage and talk to them about it so that they can talk about it.
Right.
Like, fucking get a therapist.
Right. So I like this one. This is one of the ones I had earlier. This is, am I the asshole for causing my coworker diarrhea? I often make food and go to work. I'm Indian, and where we Indians use a lot of spice while making our food. I often store my food in the communal fridge and take it out when it's time to eat. One day I found that my food was missing. I didn't mind since it had been a coworker who was wanting to try out my food. I went to a nearby restaurant and had my food there. The next day I found out that the coworker had eaten my food, got diarrhea. My coworkers told me that I didn't have to spike the food with spice and that food was from a communal fridge often gets eaten by others. In my defense, I'm new to the country and didn't know how the office atmosphere works in this country. Am I an asshole for causing my coworker diarrhea?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
No, communal fridge doesn't mean communal food. It means everyone can use the fridge.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, so these people are fucking being if they're truly like new to the country, they're just being a dick because.
Well, it's not just that, but they're being the asshole for eating somebody else's food.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
And that's the chance you run. You run the chance that you run the chance that I want a little bit of X-Lax in my food.
Right.
You know, I'm just.
Well, my point is if they're telling, like, what the fuck kind of place are you working?
Yeah.
Because if they're telling you, if they're telling you the communal fridge means all the food is community food, eat some of their food next time you're hungry. And if whatever they say, be like, oh, you said it was communal food.
Yeah.
That'll explain to you right then and there.
It always reminds me of that episode of Friends where the coworker eats Ross's, the leftover, what is it, like a turkey and dressing sandwich that Monica made him with a dressing in the middle called the taste maker.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I think it's hilarious. People are all right. Let me find another one here. I had so many, and like I said, I had them all in different tabs.
Yeah.
And earlier I closed it and it's weird. Okay, here we go. Am I an asshole for suggesting our pets stay out of the room during sex?
Okay.
So I guess my post wasn't long enough, or if I didn't explain both sides, let me go ahead and say it all. So I guess they had a different post. My girlfriend has chihuahuas. There is one that likes to stay inside of our room a lot. I like her as well. I just don't feel well when we are intimate and she is either right beside her or by her head while we have sex. She does not have any PTSD or anything like what she just doesn't see the problem of the dog being there. I try to explain how weird it was, and it just made me feel like she just thought I was mean trying to kick the dog out. So Reddit, am I an asshole for trying to kick a dog out of the room while having sex?
No, you're not an asshole.
Yeah.
But did it say that they live together?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay, then no. I mean, there's got to be some compromise. Like, okay, fine, the dog can be in here, but it can't be in the bed.
Okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and say, if you are okay with a dog laying by your head while you're getting fucking railed, that's kind of goddamn weird, and it's not unreasonable for your partner to be like,
no, I don't think it's unreasonable.
I don't want to watch your dog licking his asshole while I'm fucking pounding your ass. Like, it's just weird.
You think you couldn't help but watch the dog?
Not necessarily. I'm just using that as
I got
you.
Example,
I think it's weird. Like, you'd see the dog, because I've not during sex, but just being naked, I've had a dog lick my butthole. Like, and it's awful. It was like, what the fuck just happened to me? And like, I can get it. Like, if it's a cat or some shit and whatever, but like a little chihuahua, like laying right beside a girl, like that's a little, like, to me, that's a conversation. If you can't talk about it and both of you be rational, you probably shouldn't be together.
Sure.
That's where I go with that.
I get that. And I agree with you on that one. I'm just saying, like, you both live there, have some kind of compromise. Like,
right.
The dog can be in here, but the dog has to stay off the bed.
Right.
So I don't know. You mean, I don't know. Yeah.
Okay. Here's one. Am I the asshole for reporting my teacher for practically implying that I'm a Nazi?
Oh,
that's an already an interesting choice of words there.
Practically implying makes me think that this person's a pussy.
Right. So I'm a 14-year-old female. I've been going to school in person since August. I'm a high school freshman, and one of my classes is world history. Yesterday, we started learning about the Holocaust. Before we started the unit, he explained that he was Jewish and his great-grandpa had been a victim of the Holocaust and that he might be a bit emotional while teaching. So already it sounds like the teacher's somewhat doing their job. Like, he explained that I'm a little sensitive to this topic. We're going over it in school. My teacher was explaining to us Nazi standard, and he decided to use me as an example. I'm very pale, blue-eyed, blonde girl, but I have Jewish ancestors. I am not Jewish because I'm an atheist. I don't think she understands how Judaism works.
She does.
But it is still in my blood and my family that had to suffer. which I guess he didn't know. He looked at me and said, "Op, the Nazis would have loved you. Actually, I wouldn't be surprised if you had Nazi blood in you." I was fucking appalled. I knew this teacher didn't like me, but he crossed the line when he compared me to a Nazi. I was not going to lie. I lost my shit. I got up and walked out the door, and he called my mom to come pick me up. No, I'm not supposed to leave, but I did it anyway. I told my mom what happened, and she called the school and raised hell. She is friends with the principal, and he assured her that he would either be reprimanded or released from his position. I think he's getting what he deserves, but my friend, who is my friend, actually really likes him, called me an overdramatic bitch that I just ruined someone's livelihood, which made me feel really guilty. Am I the asshole?
A bit, but
Yeah.
the teacher crossed the line. The teacher shouldn't lose their job for that, though.
Okay.
But the teacher crossed the line. Shouldn't have done that. Clearly, you don't understand how ancestry and bloodlines work.
Right.
Clearly, the teacher doesn't either, because there's no such thing as Nazi bloodline. Nazi's not a race of people.
Right.
But
I mean, you're German.
I think there's a bit of asshole on both sides of that one.
Oh, for sure. There is some asshole on both sides. I feel like that she was being, as people are, especially 14-year-old female, but as they are now with no repercussions for a student, that comes on them. Like, I can understand having a conversation later when you got home that this happened and then dealing with it like fucking adults,
Sure.
but to storm out of class and be like, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
You're a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
Like, granted, your teacher was an asshole too.
Yeah.
But this is a great example of assholes colliding.
So we should create a Reddit account so that we can go onto these
Right.
things and give our own opinion.
Yeah.
On that. That's what we should.
Well, I feel like that we are a good source of judgment, whether people are being assholes or not, because we are assholes.
Yeah.
But I also find it funny in things like this that people, like, they have a hard time admitting if they're being an asshole or not. So they need other people to tell them they are or they aren't. Like, I can tell you in any given situation if I was being an asshole or not.
Yeah.
Like, I'm self-aware enough to say, hey, you know what? I was straight up being a dick. And if I don't realize it, later I can be like, oh, I was kind of being an asshole there.
Right.
And I have no problem apologizing for my assholery.
Yeah.
But I mean, the teacher, whatever they did, it was over the line, but it wasn't like a worth them getting fired over, I think.
If you're watching this, what do you think? Like, what do you think? Is that who's being the asshole? The student, the teacher, both? Also, if you've got something you want to ask us, are you being an asshole?
Yeah.
And
you can comment
on it. If you don't want your name to come up as something that's going on, you can text the number scrolling across the bottom of the screen.
Yep.
You can call the number and be anonymous if you want to. If you call, it's going to ask you for your name. So if you want to be anonymous, just for the name, just say, am I the asshole?
Right. And we'll probably say yes.
Yeah, we will absolutely answer the call. Just know that if you call in, you are giving permission for us to use your voice in this recording. All
right. This is the last one. But this one I think is special.
Yeah.
Am I the asshole for yelling "shut the fuck up" at my wife?
It depends on.
Let me preface this by saying that I'm not a morning person whatsoever. This makes it okay. Obviously, I usually go to bed around 1:30 to 2 o'clock, and I start work at 7:30 each morning.
That's your fault.
1:30, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Jesus.
Oh,
or no, 1:30 to 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Okay. Since we live closer to my work, I don't get out of bed till 7:05, having to be work at 7:30, and I'm usually out the door by 7:18 to 7:20. Since my wife goes to bed earlier, I'm always careful to turn the lights off and not to be loud so she can sleep. She, on the other hand, will turn on the lights, make lots of noise in the mornings. For someone as small as she is, she marches around so fucking loud. Anyways, we have 2 small rescue kittens that require eye drops and medicine twice a day. I do their medication at night and she does them in the morning. Today, she didn't want to do their medicine in the morning and was yelling at me to do their medicine. That part pissed me off, and she felt like she had to remind me what kind of medicine and that I should be already getting up because it was 6:50. So with me being already grumpy from the morning and noise, to which I responded by, I'm watching the clock, so shut the fuck up. She started crying and didn't say bye before leaving for work. I text her to ask if she's okay, but she's not responding. I do feel bad, but at the same time, she is never respectful to my sleep.
All right. There's a lot going on in that one.
There is a lot going on.
It's your own fault.
They're getting a divorce at some point.
It's your own fault that you feel that way in the morning because you stay up till 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. And
Absolutely.
have to get up at 7. That's on you.
Mm-hmm.
you're a goddamn Superman if you're getting up at 7:05 and out the door by 7:18 and get to work at 7:30.
Well, he probably smells like an asshole. That's my immediate thought upon
Probably.
reading that is this guy's that guy that comes into work and like, ooh,
It's possible.
that's rough.
Possibly he could shower at night.
Maybe.
But
he probably doesn't wash his hair either. The dirty fuck.
Probably shouldn't have said shut the fuck up.
Right.
Probably shouldn't have done that. But
I mean, it happens.
So here's the thing. Yeah, for sure. But here's the thing. She can help how loud she's being. She feels like you're being irresponsible.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what she's doing. She's trying to pay you back just a little bit.
I think it depends.
Yeah, but I think in most cases.
No, for that. But I'm talking about the whole being quiet in the morning. So the whole thing is to me, like, and I'm this way with the kids even, and it's a little different, but like especially on the weekends, if I'm home and they're trying to sleep, like Eli is in the basement, it's loud as fuck if you're walking across the floor. If it's, and granted, this is a little different, but sure. I'm saying comparatively, if it's 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning and I'm up, fuck it. I don't care if he fucking wakes up or not. You know why? Because it's my fucking house.
Sure.
And not on top of that, it's like, it's fucking daytime. If you are up till 4 in the fucking morning, that's your goddamn problem. Now, I would say if he's working till like midnight and that's why he's getting to bed at 1:30 or so in the morning, different fucking
that's
story.
What I say. If they're working second or third shift and you're doing that, then no, she's the asshole for that. I feel like you're both.
But if you've never talked about this and you just get pissed, you're like, shut the fuck up, bitch.
Yeah.
Then you're being the asshole there.
Sure.
You're both being immature as fuck. That's for goddamn sure.
Yeah. Now I will say,
I wonder how old these people are. That's what I want to know.
Yeah. I will say this though, the whole telling you how to do something that you know how to do and do frequently, that bothers me.
Oh yeah.
Like you don't think I know how, like,
right. Well, that's a condescending type of shit.
Yeah. I mean, they're like, because my wife has celiac disease, I have to stress to people when I order food, pick up food, whatever, I need to know that this is gluten-free.
Right.
I need to know this. But I know that I've been dealing with that for years now. And so it always bothers me just a little bit when she says, please make sure it's gluten-free. Like that just, I'm like, I know.
Well, to me though, that's, and not that she means it this way, but I understand taking it away. It's like, do you not think I love you enough and I do this enough to take care of you that I've suddenly forgotten that you can't have this and might fuck your whole world up for the next week.
Well, so for her, because she said to me, she said, it makes my stress level go down by reiterating this.
Oh, I mean, you guys talk about it like grown-ups?
Yeah.
That's fucking stupid. What's wrong with you?
And which I said for you don't think that I know this. You don't think that I love you and I'm going to make sure this. And part of it's the stress thing. It makes her feel a little bit better about it by reiterating that that's what she needs.
Right.
But I think part of it is also she thinks that I don't quite take it as seriously as it is.
Yeah, I understand
because I don't deal with it. I don't suffer from it or whatever. So,
and that's
because I can eat regular pizza.
But again, you guys talk about it, right?
Sure. Yeah.
But I don't know. Like to me, also, like if you're have to be work at 7:30 and you're getting up at 7:05, I have no respect for you based on that alone.
I don't,
unless you're working from home. Or you're walking downstairs to the fucking pizzeria to throw some dough around.
Sure. I mean, for me, it's like if you shower at night.
No. Not even talking about showering.
Sure, I know. But I'm just saying, if you've done everything that you need to do so that you can sleep until 7:05 and get up and still be at work at 7:30, I don't have any problem with that.
Well, I guess, but that comes with me. Like I said, again, depends on how close they are. But if I'm not 10 to 15 minutes at a minimum early for work, I'm fucking late. I can't stand it.
Sure.
And I feel like
I'm not like that.
Right. But see, I have like, if we work together and you rolled in, like we started at 8 and you rolled in like 7:58, it wouldn't affect our working relationship, but it would bother me.
Really?
Yeah.
Why? If I'm there on time when we start, why does it matter?
I guess it also depends on your
because you're projecting at that point.
Kind of, but I guess, but that's just how I was raised. That's one of the few things.
Oh yeah, see, if I get there at 7:58, I'm doing way better than I was raised.
Right, but also, I mean, that's a little bit of that military hanging around.
Sure.
It's the whole, you know, if you're on time, you're late. If you're early, you're on time type of bullshit. But I don't know, because I've also yet to meet somebody that can show up at 7:50. And I'm not saying you can't.
Yeah.
Because everybody's different, but rarely can somebody roll in at 7:58 and fucking be working at 8, like through the door, like clock in, get to their desk, they do other shit. And by that time, like I'm ready to fucking work and get shit done. And so it inconveniences me by your
Sure.
lack of preparation.
No, I get that.
Like for me, I'll get to work if I'm at 8, I'll get there at 7:30. I'll fucking have my coffee. I'll fucking chill out, like watch YouTube, whatever the fuck it is to like kind of ramp up.
Yeah, and that's a bit of a difference in like
Plus-
my job and your job though,
Right.
is that part like I don't have a set time.
Right.
I try to be at work at 7:30 every day,
Right.
because it gets me out ahead of rush hour traffic. But
Right. Well, I guess, like I said, it depends on the job.
Sure.
It depends on the person. I don't know, but also if you work like a warehouse job or some shit and you're showing up like a minute and clocking in, then have to get to your position, whatever, a lot of times that can cause shit. Plus, you're asking, you have one thing that goes wrong between
absolutely.
getting up and going to work, you're late.
Yeah.
And one thing I can't fucking stand, I cannot fucking stand at all, if you're fucking late regularly. It happens from time to time, but if you're late more than like 3 or 4 times in a 3-month period, fuck you, you're a piece of shit. I don't want to work with you.
Yeah, we let people go pretty quickly at work for being late.
People will do that shit, like that person. Like, I feel like he's an asshole just for leaving 10 minutes before he starts work.
Yeah, that doesn't bother me. If he gets to work on time and he's not causing anyone any other issues, then I don't care about that.
I know, I'm just talking about in theory,
sure,
because I'm thinking in my brain, like,
you are
I'm
setting
judging
yourself up for failure, though.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Well, I'm judging the guy, is what I'm saying. Based on his post, I'm thinking you're late to work a lot, and you blame your fucking wife for whatever the case may be.
And well, you're also probably,
but it's a separate issue. Like I said, if you're complaining about how tired you are, but you're going to bed at 2:30 every morning, then
you're also probably not a good partner in your relationship, because anything that needs to be done in the morning, you've set yourself up to the point where you don't have time to do that.
Right. Well, and also to me, if you know your partner's up, depending on your time and schedule, like I like having coffee with Amanda in the mornings. Like I get up at like 4:45 for work, 5 o'clock. She's not up that early. I try to be quiet, blah, 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 blah. But like on days when I don't have to go until later, like she'll get up with me at 7, 8 o'clock. We'll have our coffee and then I'll go do what I need to do. But I enjoy that time, whatever. Yeah. But
I work with a guy who's 29. Yeah, he's fixing.
What are your opinions, by the way, if you're reading on this or watching this or what the fuck ever?
So I work with a guy that's he'll be 30 sometime very soon, and his girlfriend, fiance is, I don't know, 24, 25 ish, something like that, and she has to get up earlier than him, roughly an hour, maybe not quite an hour, but regardless, she has to get up earlier than him. And he said that she is a get up in the morning, flip the light on, looking for her stuff or whatever, and he's still laying there. He said most mornings I'm just like, well, I guess I'm getting up now.
Right. You know? But, and again, it's like, to me, that's something you should be able to talk about, right? And respect each other enough to make those changes. And I find that a lot of times in relationships, and I haven't always been, I'm not going to say that I'm a great, like, could you imagine fucking living with my ass?
No.
Like, I have certain areas that I'm very respectful in, but otherwise, whatever. But I don't know, but like if Amanda has an issue and she talks to me about it, we'll work it out, find a compromise, whatever. She's a light sleeper in the morning. She has super bad insomnia. And so like I try to be quiet, but she still wakes up most of the time, but I don't flip lights on, and I at least make the effort, which she appreciates. But I don't know. To me, it's a respect thing. Like, again, he's making a choice to fucking stay up that late and
absolutely
do whatever the fuck it is, unless there's medical problems, whatever.
Yeah.
But like your friend's situation, just getting up, flipping the lights on the shit, that's something that they talk about it. She should be like, okay, I won't turn the light on when I get up.
Yeah. Like I know, I mean, obviously I know him, I work with him and like him a lot. I've met her several times. Really cool. What?
Do I know? Have I met these people?
No.
Okay.
No, you've not met them. I don't think, I'm pretty sure you haven't. Anyway, but she makes the money and wears the pants.
Oh yeah.
But I think it's also her personality.
Right. But even outside, those are the excuses people make. Sure, but if you're in a fucking relationship,
she doesn't use it may be a subconscious thing of I make the money or whatever.
No, and I'm not saying she does. I just mean that like that any type of that type of thing plays in, like somebody's being an immature cunt is my point.
Yeah, if you're talking about it and somebody still does it, for sure. I think part of their issue is they have not really talked. I think he's the type of person that at least in his relationships and this guy, he's just kind of it's really not hurting me. I'll just go along with it.
But that's the thing though, that shit will build up and eventually you're gonna be like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, they're getting married a week and a day from now.
Oh, that's a terrible idea.
No, I don't think it is. I think I think that he probably exaggerates a touch when he tells the story or whatever. But I think, yeah, because there's some things that he does that bother her.
Right.
But yeah. But anyway.
And I get relationship dynamics are different. Like I get that some people thrive off of that fucking fighting and bullshit, but you know,
yeah,
I can't stand it. Like, I don't know. I don't like that shit. And granted, like I'm stubborn to a point, like 99% of the time I'll go out of my way to find a compromise to whatever, but there's some things I'm just like, sorry, that's just what it is, you know?
Yeah.
And most of the time, if that's a personality thing, like I'm not going to change my personality for whoever the fuck I'm with. Like I can change behavior. I can change, like I'm one of the world. I leave fucking cups everywhere. Like that's one of my things. Like
that drives me up the wall.
Right. But like on the porch, whatever. And I try to remember to bring them in. And it's not like I just use 20 cups and leave them, but like I'll leave my coffee cup on the porch.
Signs over at your house.
Right. But I'll leave coffee cups on the porch, you know, whatever. And I try to remember to bring them in, but I forget. And that's mostly the thing is I'll leave like a half drunk cup of coffee on the thing like that. Whatever. It drives them in a fucking crazy. I try to remember to bring them in, and some weeks I do better than others. But it drives her fucking nuts. But again,
Amanda, if you're listening or watching right now, I'm on your side. On
this. Absolutely. And I'm not denying that.
Yeah, no, I know you're not. Yeah.
And
I'll give you this credit. You fucking own the shit that's would be considered maybe like a flaw or whatever. Yeah. I will say, like, you own that shit.
Yeah.
So,
and then like I'm also really bad about, and I try to be so careful about like putting sugar in either cereal or my coffee and getting it fucking everywhere. I don't see it. I don't notice it. And a minute comes up
crazy.
And like if I see it, I'll wipe it up or do whatever. But if sometimes I don't even notice it, she'll come like, there's fucking sugar everywhere. And I'm like, I'm sorry. So I try to be careful. But like, so that type of shit, like I try to
put a paper towel under your coffee mug. You do that.
It goes outside of the paper towel. I don't understand.
Hold it over the sink.
I
have a habit of occasionally missing the coffee cup if I happen to put sugar in the coffee or whatever. And I will set it like where the sink has the divider. I'll just set my cup there and pour so it goes in the sink.
But my point is,
I love
I'm right. My point is, I actively try to do that shit. But as far as like my sarcasm, sense of humor, like that's just like I can reel in the meanness of the shit that comes out of my mouth. But my general attitude towards the world is not really going to change. And I'm not going to try to change it until I feel like it needs to be changed. Like most of my arguments with you, I told you I've evolved. Like I'm a different person now. Yeah. In all fairness, I have in certain areas.
I'll say that. I'll say so.
My at least my outlook on certain things. They're not more positive. They've just, you know, but again, we've talked about this. Like I'm pretty set in certain things, but if you can give me information that I haven't considered before, haven't thought of, I'm open to new information and I'll process and whatever accordingly.
Sure.
And I can say, I hate admitting this, but it's true. I hate admitting this.
No clue. What you're
I hate admitting this like openly. Like Amanda
right.
knows, but like she has brought up some perspectives and opinions on things that have actually changed the way that I've seen things. Like I've been open. I've had to process them. I wasn't immediate like, oh yeah. But there's been a few things, especially in regards to like some parts of feminism and equality in that regard, some shit like that. Like it's legitimately like kind of opened my eyes a little bit and realized that. And we've also talked about how a lot of the BLM shit recently kind of opened our eyes to a lot of stuff that, not that we were blind to, but shit we didn't think about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And now I'm more aware of, and I'm still not a sensitive little bitch about all that stuff, but you know, like I'm a lot more understanding of people's perspective. Like I still have no tolerance for people being loudmouth fucking little cry bitches. Like that shit still annoys me. But sometimes I'm like, okay, I see where you're coming from. I don't agree, or I agree, but you're still being a fucking bitch about it. You know what I mean? Like it depends on some of that.
Yeah.
Like Amanda and I talk about a lot of this shit, like bringing up the fucking wage gap, which I fucking hate that argument because it exists in certain career fields. It's not across the board.
No, but there's also a lot of things that don't get taken into consideration in the argument on both sides of the argument.
Yeah, and like I said, so there's elements of a lot of that shit that I don't agree with, but also just talking to Amanda and some of her experiences and being a little more open to that, like I see some of the imbalance that happens that's not justified, and I'm a little more open to.
I mean, it's so
just as an example.
So this is not pertaining to the wage gap, but it's I'd say it's parallel to that because a lot of the arguments, at least the loud And this comes from leftists on that.
I really want more whiskey, but I don't need to drink more whiskey.
One of the things that the company I work for over the last couple of years has tried to do is diversify management.
Okay.
And they've made ground in it. Like we definitely have a more diverse top management, more race representation. You just said I don't need to drink more.
That doesn't mean I'm not going to drink any more whiskey.
So anyway, there's definitely more racial diversity in our management now. Not a ton of females in there. I mean, we do have one of our top, people in the company is female.
But in all fairness, certain industries don't have as many people employees, and I don't feel like just because you're a female, you deserve.
No, I agree. Yeah, and remind me about that you just said in just a moment, because I'll get sidetracked. But we were doing a company-wide meeting a couple weeks ago, where the CEO of the company, and this is an international company. This guy's the CEO over North America, Mexico, U.S., Canada.
Is he Jewish?
No.
No. I figured not.
Yeah, no. He's not. He's the first American in probably 25 or 30 years to be over North American. But anyway,
who says we're not the greatest?
Right. Who says we're not the greatest? We're not North America is the greatest America in the world.
He's a direct descendant of Reagan.
Anyway, we're doing a Q&A thing, and somebody anonymously, mind you,
of course,
said, it's really nice seeing more diversity in our top management, but I don't see any more women in top management now, and you're really disappointing me in that. First off, you're anonymous, so fuck you.
Right.
But I guess the audacity because you're anonymous, but if you really think a company this big can't track where that IP is coming from know exactly where it's coming from, because everyone's working from home mostly right now, so they can find out exactly who it is. But it's like, you can't just give the compliment or stay silent and be happy that change is coming. And that's one of my biggest problems with the loud assholes that are leftists. I'm not talking about Democrats or liberals.
I got you.
I'm talking about leftists. I'm not clarifying that for you. I'm clarifying that for anyone listening or
because
watching.
You come across as a fucking.
Well, it's not just that, but people, when you say left, people immediately think Democrat, and that's not it.
Oh yeah,
that's not it. I'm not even talking about liberal, but there's no. I'm not saying you're content with staying where it's at, but I'm saying there's no satisfaction in that you've gotten here. It's like it's never good enough. That's why I don't like the progressive movement, because there's no end goal.
Right.
It's just,
nobody actually wants fairness. They want the advantage. Is what
that's right. People say they want equality, and for the most part, it's not this way across the board, really anywhere. But for the most part, in civilized U.S., everyone has a equal opportunity for the most part. I absolutely know it's not that way everywhere.
I know.
But what they really say they want is equal outcome.
Right.
And you can't have that.
Right. Absolutely.
If we were a country strictly of white people, you wouldn't have equal outcome.
Very true.
You just can't have an equal outcome. You can. Right. It's not possible, but that's what people want. It's like people think,
if you're retarded, you're probably not going to run a multinational company.
I would say that that's probably a safe bet. But they used to do
can you get down with it?
Yeah. Back in the day, Adam Carolla had a late night talk show. It was on cable or whatever. But he used to do these little bits every once in a while called Adam Explains to 1780s guy. And some really funny shit, but it was always just them like walking through the woods or whatever, and it would be women, not females.
Yeah.
What? Okay. Whatever. And it would be just the two of them like walking through a meadow or whatever. And Adam would never really say anything, but the 1780s, and it would at the beginning it would say, Adam explains to 1780s guy the Special Olympics or whatever. And it would just flip to them and it would say, what are you doing?
I just displayed it so people could see what we were talking about.
I got you. And it would say, Adam explains to 1780s guy the Special Olympics, and it would flip to them and the 1780s guy goes, and they race them. And it was just so when you said that, it made me think of that. But anyway, talking about you reminded me of something. I was having a conversation with somebody about resumes because there's an open position higher up in the company.
Resumes.
Yeah, resumes. And
well, okay, does it ever bother you, by the way, when somebody types out resume and don't put the
yeah, in some, depending on what word processor you're using, I haven't figured out all of them how to get that over the E.
Right.
So I will type resume so that it autocorrects to resume and gives me that over the E, just to make sure that I get it correctly.
Yeah, what are people were like, oh, I turned in my resume. I was like, all
right. So we're talking about how would you pick? Because as far as what we know, they have 4 candidates: white man, white woman, black woman, black man. And so it's me, and this is a black man I'm talking to about this. Black man converted to Judaism.
Oh yeah, you told me that.
Yeah. Love this guy. I have some great conversations with him about church and stuff. Anyway, and I said, well, the first thing you know is white man. Sorry, you check no box except you check. The only box he checks is his great qualifications. He really does. But sorry,
he's got great.
You're out. I mean, that's just the thing. Like, you're out.
Right.
And so out of those 3 candidates, you have one that checks 1 box, another one that checks 1 box, and then one that checks 2 boxes. And he said, so how do you pick? And it's like, if you're going for diversity hire, you know who you pick.
Right.
You get one that gets you all of the points except for one because she's straight. That's what he said. He's like, she's straight, so there's that one box she doesn't check in diversity, you know. And I said, personally, if I were in that position, because I'm a bit old school like this, and you couldn't do this now, it's like, I would want to have a resume and no name, photo, or anything.
Right.
Just give me the resume, let me look at the qualifications, and that's how I would pick.
Right.
After interviewing them all, and because an interview, you could definitely say, well, that's not going to work, and we move that one out, and then look at resumes and pick that way.
Right.
But regardless.
So what you're saying is you would meet them first and then look at the resumes with no photo. So you could go ahead and weed out the coloreds.
How do you do that though? How do you weed them out if you?
I'm joking.
Okay, I was going to say, I don't like. I knew you were joking,
like,
but I'm still trying to
call them
find...
in after you review the resumes. No, I got
it. No. I would interview them they already work for the company, so I would interview them anyway, because you're going to weed out people that aren't going to be.
Well, in that case, you wouldn't want names on the resume.
That's what I said. No name and no photo.
I misunderstood.
Yeah, I wouldn't want any name or photo. I just want credentials.
Okay, then that's fair.
Want credentials.
Okay. Then that makes more sense.
Because then
I thought that you were saying I want to interview them, whatever, and then and look at the resumes in whatever, regardless, and who they are already while you look at the resumes. Like, that doesn't.
I want to see a resume with no name, no photo, no information except for
penis size.
Well, I know who's getting the job then. So
that's fair.
Yeah. So anyway.
Oh my God. In a lot of ways, and this is one thing that I can't quite form a good opinion on it. And that's a lot of the equal opportunity movement. I get why it's needed. It absolutely is. Not disregarding that at all. But at what point do you pick somebody over or based on their race, sexual orientation, biology, whatever the case it is, versus someone that's much more qualified for the job? Like, where's that separation, right?
Yeah.
Because I understand, because then it becomes a quota thing too. It's like, oh, well, and granted, whoever it is probably doesn't care because they're getting the job. But like you said, if it's based on qualifications and you look at 2 resumes and they're equally qualified for the job across the board, then I understand being like, well, equal opportunity, we're giving to this guy, whatever the case may be. But if the qualifications are imbalanced and somebody's way less qualified, to me, giving a job to somebody because of the color of their skin or their sexuality, whatever the case may be, just based on that is doing the company a disservice because you're not getting somebody with the same qualifications. And so I have a hard time, like I wrestle with that in my head because I understand the need for it, because in a lot of companies, at least at one point in time, it is a bunch of white dudes and they want other white dudes they like to work with because that's a natural thing. It's like, I have to work with you fucking 40 hours a week.
Right.
I know culturally that we're good, and like your personality, like those are the two big things. I don't want to work with a woman, and I don't work with somebody that's weird that ain't gonna fit in. Like, so I know this guy's cool. I like him. That's what he's doing. Like, I get that had to be changed a bit.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I'm not sure, Amanda. What are the praise God hands for?
Because you said woman finally and not female.
Yeah, I did that for her. I wasn't sure she would.
Yeah, I know.
If she got so mad at me that she wasn't even watching anymore.
No, I don't know.
No.
I don't
anyway, I was gonna say something. Based on what you were saying, but I can't remember.
Anyway,
what it was now.
so that's a lot of things. Like, I understand the need for a lot of these changes, a lot of things.
Yeah,
this movement, and I understand not to harp on this or go back to it. I understand that things have to shift usually in one direction before they level out. I get that. But from a practical standpoint, not from, and I think that's where we were arguing the other night, that stupidly long argument that we had.
and I didn't consider it an argument.
No, you know what I mean, though. Like, it was a heated discussion.
I got you.
But to me, it depends on the viewing angle, right? Like, up close to it, where we're sitting, it's like, okay, there's no reason why we can't find a balance for this shit. But if you take a step back and look at it as a larger scale, as a culture, as whatever, there's a lot more movement there. And then if you step even further back to the scale of the fucking timeline of the world, shit doesn't change. It just fucking swings back and forth until the goddamn end of time. Like, I don't feel like we're more evolved now than we were fucking 20 years ago or 50 years ago,
really, or
100 years ago. Hell no. Society's changed and evolved, but we're the same fucking pieces of shit people that have always existed. There have been voices that we've listened to and changed how we do things, but internally,
you don't think
that's
the
same.
Evolution?
No, because it'll repeat itself. At some point, it'll peter out, and then somebody else will come here, and all this other shit's going to happen underneath.
So, do you think we'll go back to not in stature and brain function, but I mean back to caveman days where you're knocking a woman over the head and dragging her back home?
But see, you're looking at technological evolution.
No, I'm just looking all the way in general, because to me,
I'm talking about people and how they act and movements. I'm not talking about technological advancement as far as sophistication. I'm talking about human behavior has never changed. We have just found different ways to exploit that or to express
I can agree with
those
that,
things. It's the same shit. It's just presented differently.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all it is.
So I remember what I was going to say a few moments ago.
We had 3 people for like 2 seconds.
Yeah, I know, that's funny. You were saying something about at what point do you promote someone or give them a job over someone more qualified because of whatever. And there's many things like that's one of the, that's a big reason why sports, especially professional sports, are a great, it's strictly based on, almost strictly based on talent. Like you don't have a professional basketball player that's out there playing just because he's the owner or coach's son.
Yeah, absolutely.
It just doesn't happen. Now there are other factors than talent. I mean, Antonio Brown, one of the greatest wide receivers in the NFL, didn't get to play last year because he was a fucking cancer to a team. And Bill Belichick, who would absolutely have loved to have had him on the team, was just like, fuck, I don't want to deal with this shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
And let him, let it go. So,
there is,
I mean, that's the thing about sport. It's just,
but even in the workplace, and I also understand that in certain positions, and again, this is regardless of race, whatever, but you can see, okay, this person has a lot of potential. This guy has the qualification, but this fucking person is fucking hungry. And so I'm going to put them in here because I know they can do it. And they have, like, this dude's just he's going to do the job and he's going to do it well, but there's not going to be any fucking growth. You know what I mean? Other than the natural thing. Yeah. Like, this fucking person is going to crush it. Like, they might suck at first and there's going to be some, some adjustment, but they're going to be better overall than this person. I totally get that.
Yeah. Several months ago, they did a lunch and learn type thing. It's not what it was called, but it was one of those cliched terms like that, where top top executives in the company would do a Zoom meeting on the lunch break, and you'd listen to their story. You could ask questions and things. And he was talking about
shit like that so much.
It depends on who it is for me. It depends on who it is. Like if I've met them and they're interesting,
and I get it from that perspective. But to me, that type of thing is so goddamn condescending. It really is.
Really, because our employees asked for that.
Really?
Yeah, they like, I don't know how many, but it was asked, like,
it's interesting
that they would like to be able to have conversations in the age of COVID.
That's interesting.
You have to do it through Zoom.
I guess
because they used to do it in the corporate offices where you would actually go to the break room or whatever. I guess that's do stuff like that.
I don't know. Like, to me, people look at that as a chance to suck some dick and get ahead. Like, that's how I look at it. Like, and I've always agreed. I look at a lot of that shit a little different than some, but I've always looked at that shit as like, these people at these positions I will never get to want to come down here and act like that they give a shit about my career. They don't give a fuck. I'm replaceable tomorrow.
Yeah. So
that's regardless of the company.
Yeah. So the guy I'm talking about, like, I've met him multiple times and had conversations with him. Like, I would venture to say he probably didn't want to do that. That's just kind of the way he is. But he was talking about when he worked for a different large company years ago, and he was in management, and they were graded. Each of their teams were graded, had a point system based. You got points based on different races, different genders, things like that. You got a point system on your team, and you had to get a certain amount of points to, otherwise the company considered you not have a diverse enough team. Right. And he said, I had a team of old men, mostly white, but old men, but based on everyone, and this guy's Indian. And he said, but based on everyone's background and where they had come from and jobs they had for, in my opinion, I had the most diverse team of anyone in the company, but I had such a low point score.
But it wasn't racial diversity. It was background.
It was diversity. Some racial diversity, but it was all it was mostly background diversity. So, and I don't, whatever.
Well, I mean, that's one thing I'm grateful for, like the company that I'm currently with. Like the job that I have now, they wanted a degree for, they wanted X, Y, and Z. I had a lot of fucking field experience, but I'm still like catching up. Like, I'm still way over my head in certain areas of it. I'll pick it up and I'll get there, but I'm not coming in with this vast engineering knowledge and background. Like, I'm coming in as a fucking tech. They knew that bringing me in, but like they took a risk based on what they thought I was capable of versus what I had on paper. And I appreciate that, but I recognize that that's not a normal thing.
Yeah.
But whatever. But I always give one of my coworkers a hard time because before I had applied for this job like 2 or 3 times because it popped up. But the company I have is notoriously really slow for hiring people and bringing them on. And I had to have a job. But evidently before me, there's some young, moderately attractive female that they had settled on. And it's just me and one dude that work in this office for the most part. There's another side to it, but it's just us two.
Yeah.
And they had offered the job. She had accepted, but they took so long to hire on. She ended up taking something else. And then after that, they got me. And I was always like, sorry, dude, you're stuck with Maya. I was like, you're this close to having a pretty girl working with you, but you got me. And I'm funnier than a pretty girl would have been, but
yeah. Well,
anyway.
The guy I was talking about earlier from work said to me today, he said, because he always calls me Native American, and he said, it's kind of a dark, depressing time coming up for you pretty soon, isn't it? Talking about Thanksgiving. And I said, yeah, I don't want your fucking blankets, man.
Oh, shit. You got fucking COVID pox, man.
I know.
Oh, Jesus Christ. So did you think that things would be more normal by now with all the COVID bullshit?
Yeah, but I feel like I wouldn't call it normal, but it's relatively normal around here.
Well, Trump got the vaccine, man. We're going to be getting it soon.
So that's an interesting thing. The election, they declared Joe Biden winner, and now suddenly Pfizer's like, hey, we got a vaccine we think is going to be good. That's an interesting thing.
No, and that's
from both sides. It's like,
who was it?
Are you trying to sway it back toward Trump, or are you trying to say Biden's making everything better?
Well, it was interesting to me. I've heard a couple of people talk about recently, and people are getting really pissed about it. They say COVID the entire fucking time has been politicized as a motherfucker.
Absolutely.
Not saying it hasn't existed, not saying it hasn't killed people, not saying all this, but it's been used as a political tool from the fucking get-go. It's kind of like BLM got every other major thing that's happened in this country
Yeah.
over the past, well, really forever, it all gets used and twisted to cater to whichever demographic. And I don't understand. Oh, Jesus Christ, we've talked about this before, but God damn it, why the fuck people cannot see the similar, like that both fucking sides are playing the shit out of them.
Yeah.
Like all the Trump tards, or all fucking Trump, or whatever the fuck you want to call them, they're all eating the shit out of the fucking Republicans' assholes. Like they're fucking 100% all in. They care about us. This is what the country needs, blah, blah, blah. The Democrats are wanting to ruin our country, going to tear it down. Then you got the Democrats, guys, like all these stupid fucking people. They deny science. They don't want poor people to have money. They don't want this. And they both have elements of right, but like your party doesn't give a shit about you.
No.
At all. Like, yeah, neither one of them care about poor people. Neither one of them care about minorities.
They give about you. They care about you just long enough to get your vote.
Right.
That's it.
Well, they didn't care about you that long. They're just it's pandering. It's straight fucking pandering all the goddamn time. And what kills me about it is nobody can, they're like, well, it's better than Trump. Oh, it's better than Biden. I was like, no, they're the fucking same.
Well, which is part of the point I was trying to make to Gabe last week. He was like, yeah, but there is a such thing as a lesser of two evils.
No.
I'm like, your vote, if you believe your vote counts election, your vote should be worth more than that.
Yeah.
And if you want, I've heard lots of young people say the two-party system isn't working. Then why the fuck are you voting for one of those two parties?
Right.
You have no reason to vote for those two parties.
Yeah.
Then, if that's
nor an obligation.
No, yeah, you shouldn't be obligated to do it anyway. But if you
should have voted for goddamn Kanye.
I would take Kanye over either of them.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I heard him plead his case. Wasn't any worse than either things the other two were saying.
It sounds really shitty, and some of this financial shit was way the fuck out there.
Right.
But or economic shit, I should say. But one of the people, like, as far as their attitude, their fucking commercials, how they were in the debates, Gary Johnson was the fucking shit, man.
I loved Gary
Johnson. If I gave a fuck about any of it, I would have voted for him. But
I did vote for him.
I know you did. But no, you're right. We have this staunch two-party system, but all it would take, and it wouldn't change this election, next election. But if every person that was against the two-party system progressively voted for more and more independence, eventually that two-party system would break down.
Right.
It's all about that long play, baby. It's like if the civil rights movement, like in the fucking 50s and 60s, had they done it for 6 or 7 months and be like, all right, we're good. Like shit would never have changed, but they persevered, and it slowly but surely fucking changed. And not that it got perfect, but it got better. Right. And they're still fighting, like with BLM. And I'm not talking about the organization, but the movement. They're still working on changing shit, and shit is still slowly changing. Even the feminist movement, there's elements of it that are fucking a crock of shit, just like everything else. But they're slowly making progress towards certain things, which is a great thing.
Right.
But again, it's overall and not one thing. But again, like the two-party system, if enough people will keep pushing for a fucking third party or an independent or whatever. Did I just say a three-party? Whatever the fuck I said.
Yeah, anyway. You said third party. Yeah.
Yeah, but if they want a third party, like it takes time. But if people will refuse to vote for one of the two and just vote for candidates that they believe in, even if it's a different one each time, but if independents start getting more and more fucking votes, eventually you'll see an independent get there. But it takes fucking time. And that's one thing we don't have any patience for. So I was like, well, I don't want a conservative, so goddamn it, I guess I'm getting a liberal. Biden's been accused of rape and all this other shit 1,000 times, but goddamn it, he's better than Trump,
right?
Who openly talked about grabbing people by the pussy.
Yeah.
And I would just say right now, well, never mind.
The media.
No, go ahead.
So I got some. Have you heard this yet?
The media said Joe Biden's president. Ha 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 ha.
Is that Jerry Falwell?
You're close.
Oh, Kenneth Copeland. That dude's a crazy motherfucker.
Crazy.
The media said what? The media said Joe Biden's president.
Oh my God. Oh my God, he's still going?
Yeah.
I thought this was on a loop for a second.
No, he's walking around the stage doing that.
God damn it. I hate him.
Yeah. He was the gunslinger, man. What are you talking about?
Jesus.
In Gospel Bill.
Right? I still want to get Michael Brown on here at some point.
Same clip.
Jesus.
He's got... Yeah.
Could you imagine if we did that for a bit and told like some joke and then both of us just like, ha 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 for goddamn 2 minutes? Jesus Christ, man.
Oh, God.
This is why people wonder why I'm so fucking cynical and I hate everything. It's shit like that. It's shit like what the fuck's going on in the news and in this country. And I fucking hate everything, man. I hate it so much.
Yeah, I mean...
And again, like, to me, it's just a cyclical thing. Like, human nature is human nature. And that's what, to jump back to what we said earlier, like, nobody wants equality. Everybody wants an advantage.
Right.
And that's what people won't fucking say. And I'm okay with it because I understand why people want that. Like, right now, basically what it is a lot of people, they're frustrated for fucking white males always having the advantage, and they want the advantage for a change. I fucking get that. It makes sense to me.
Yeah.
You know, but as long as white males have most of the power, we're going to have the advantage. That's just how the fuck it is. But eventually that will shift and there'll be some other fucking race or people group or whatever the case may be that's going to have the advantage, because nothing like fucking our democracy that we've touted as the greatest fucking form of government in the world is already fucking crumbling.
Yeah.
I don't see it lasting more than at no way will it make another 100 years. No fucking way. I feel like...
What do you think we go to?
I was going to say, I feel like if not in our lifetimes, in our kids' lifetimes, they'll see fucking democracy completely crumble as we believe it should be in the States.
Gotcha.
So I will say within 50 years. I think
so?
Yeah, within 50 to 75. I say that democracy in the U.S. as it is done now will completely fucking fall apart. It'll be some form or mashup of socialism or fucking communism. I don't fucking know. Or even dictatorship. Like, I don't know where it's going to go, but I will say it will not look like it does now or has for the last fucking 50 years, 100 years.
Yeah.
And I think it'll be in our kids' lifetime, if not in ours. Like, it's borderline falling the fuck apart now.
Yeah.
If we dump the electoral college, that immediately shifts the form of democracy that we have from an organized system, flawed or not. Like, and I'm not saying it's a good thing. Like, I think it needs to be revamped, especially with where demographics have changed. Like, I do think it's bullshit. I understand population and per capita, but if you can have a 99% blue state or red state and have one city that determines the entirety of that state's votes, that's fucking stupid. Like, that needs to be changed a little bit. But without that, it's fucking mob rule. Whoever can be the loudest and convince the most people and just be dicks, which is no different than what the fuck you have on like Twitter right now. It's basically Twitter in a fucking nation. And that shit's a terrible idea. And so there's not like the electoral college is a system that makes sense if it gets adjusted ever. It's like science. If science never changed, then science would be fucking worthless.
Right.
You know, it's the same thing. And we got nobody.
Amanda got tired of hearing you talk.
Yeah, probably. I get tired of hearing me talk. God damn it. You get tired of hearing me talk.
Yeah. Anyway.
I will say, I do want to say for anybody that listens, pays attention, that enjoys us, what the fuck ever. We give each other a lot of shit.
Sure.
Right. And there are times that we can't fucking stand each other. There have been
in the
times.
moment, there's times like this.
Yeah.
Fuck,
absolutely.
I'm so sick of being here. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But our name is actually pretty fucking accurate. Like, regardless of all that shit, like, I love the fuck out of you. I hate you from time to time, but as a whole, I love you. That's how we roll.
That is exactly it. I mean, had none of the makeup happened today. Go ahead.
I just think it's funny.
Yeah, no. Had none of them. What do you think is so funny about it?
It's just a funny word because it's not a term I think about in
Right.
regards of that. Like for me, I feel like more of like we cleared the air, but we've been joking about it being like a kiss
Sure.
and makeup all day.
Right. So had none of the makeup part happened, we'd have probably still come in here tonight and been mostly the same.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mostly the same. And it would have taken a couple of days where we wouldn't have felt that way anymore.
Yeah.
And then,
well, I feel like a lot of the conversation we had though was really just reaffirming that we both want to do the podcast,
sure,
that we both want to be here, that we both enjoy it, and that like me recognizing that there's some things I could do better in regards to contribution to the podcast.
Okay.
Right. We
All
talked about that.
Yeah, sure,
right?
sure. Yep.
And then you expressing some of your frustrations with my general state of being. Right. And just getting it out there. Like there was no, well, I'm sorry I've been this way. There's no apologies that happened. Right. It was like, okay, I recognize the fact that I've been.
We both solidly stand by what we said, but we also solidly stand by the not retraction, but also then it's not even explanation, but also then the when it comes back around, and then we both come in and admit the flaws that we own. Like,
right,
you can, and that's I think it's a great, if anything, like that's a great example. Like that's a healthy relationship of being able to say, I fucking can't stand this about you. All right, now here's where I fucked up too, and stand by both of those, and then not go, all right, I shouldn't have said that.
Right. So it's like, no, it's like, I get that I frustrate the shit out of you. Like I get that, but I'm like, this is why. And I acknowledge, like, I recognize it. And even in that little bit, again, as a fucking whatever mature relationship, it's like, okay, I at least appreciate you acknowledging the fact that you're aware of this.
Sure.
You know what I mean? But you never once were like, I wish you would quit doing that. It was like, dude, you do this and it fucking drives me crazy. I'm like, yeah, I know. you know what I mean? So in return, I'm going to try to start, maybe try and do better with this just to contribute whatever. And you're like, all right, cool. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
And then it's done. Like, I'm not, I'll, we'll probably call each other bitches for a fucking year.
Oh,
but
yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, anyway, brother, it's, we're at an hour. Are we done? Do you have anything else?
No, I'm good. It's a great note to go out on. I think we've lost all the watchers now.
Right. But just to tack one more thing on, I'm really digging the live stream thing. Like it's still a little weird. Like I feel like I look to read the comments, but I feel a little obligated to be more expressive as far as just sitting here like a fat piece of shit. But I like it. I'm
gonna start doing Jim Halpert faces at the camera at some point.
Right. I'm just hoping I eventually get skinny enough to not look like a fucking Hershey Kiss sitting on this.
A white chocolate Hershey
a white chocolate Hershey Kiss. An intolerant white Hershey Kiss.
Nazi kiss.
Which, by the way, I've been rewatching the Chappelle show lately. It's so good.
It is so good. Oh,
and my coworker was giving me a hard time because I keep going, titties.
I wanted to ask you about that. And I run the risk of this running a lot longer.
I won't let it. I'll cut it down. I'll answer your question.
That's fine. Because I know you saw it. I saw it when I had forgotten about it until you reminded me the next day and went and watched it. Chappelle on SNL last weekend.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you watched the whole show.
No.
I played the whole show and then watched when he was in a sketch. I watched it because they had a sketch where these white people were sitting across this boardroom table and they're talking to Aunt Jemima and they're saying, I'm sorry. They are. I'm sorry, but we have to fire you. Like, it's whatever. And then she's like, why are you firing me? If you're going to fire me, you got to fire Uncle Ben. And then it's Kenan Thompson. His Uncle Ben's like, why are you going to fire me? If you're going to fire me, you got to fire the Allstate guy. And it's Chappelle. And they had this voice thing on him. So he's had a real deep voice. Like, can't think of the guy's name on the Allstate commercials, and you could see Dave Chappelle's kind of his fingerprints on this skit, because then he was like, they're all going back and forth, but you can't just, all I ever want to do was make pancakes for the masters or whatever. And then Chappelle goes, this is a motherfucker you need to be firing. And he points, and it's Pete, whatever his name is, and he's dressed up as Count Chocula. Look at those fucking chocolate lips behind them big ass teeth. Oh my God, it was so good.
Man.
And Chappelle cracked at the beginning and laughed, and I give him a pass because, but
well,
anyway,
the thing is,
his monologue was just
And I'm realizing, like, watching the Chappelle show again, right? He was pretty, but he wasn't that young. He was like our age with the Chappelle show, a little younger than us. Like, I think he was like,
he was because he's only in his mid 40s.
okay, so he was in his 20s.
He's not even 50 yet. Right?
Okay, so he was in his 20s then.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Right.
But even though I don't think that the points he was making with his skits were as obvious to him, the poignancy and the shit that he hit was fucking outstanding. Like, I feel like him working with oh shit, what was the guy's name that wrote with him? I can't remember. I feel like that dude, I feel like them working together, they did a lot. But like, the shit is like, and I know at the time I didn't realize how controversial the Chappelle show was when it was on. When evidently it got a lot of fucking shit. But the shit that he was doing, like, was funny to him, but it was I hate using this word. God damn it.
Important.
It was important. Brave, even, like, at the stage he was at, like, the shit, because he was making fun of Black culture, he was making fun of white culture, and the two together in the interaction of them. And I guess that would be the way to put it. I don't think he realized at the time how important what he was doing was.
See, I think he did, but he didn't realize that everyone else was just taking it as comedy and not the importance. Because that's why, especially after watching Letterman interview him, which, if you haven't watched that, even if you hate David Letterman, you've got to watch that episode of that. Because, and that's one of the things he says, like, I heard someone laugh and then I realized, oh, like, they're not laughing for the right reason. So I think,
so he pulled a joke.
I think he knew how important it was and what he was getting across, but I think he took for granted and thought everyone else did as well.
Well, no, I guess I feel like more he felt it was important, but he didn't realize how important, like, the scope of the importance of what he was doing. Like, it was important to him, and he felt like there were things that needed to be thrown out there, but he didn't realize how much it was needed outside of what he was doing. Does that make sense? Like, it was important to him, but he didn't realize the scope of it. Anyway, regardless, back to the SNL stand-up real quick.
Monologue. Oh, my God.
Like, how good was that? Like, it was skate. Like, even me watching it, I was like, oh, not offensively, but like, oh, like, that's
he's one of the few, and I can't think of one right now that does this currently, but that can make you laugh and question your belief and your stance on things and or your blindness to things.
Yeah, well, and even outside of that, like, how unapologetic he is to go through, and he'll drop so many truth bombs in the set and be like, and like, he even made the comment, like, I can't even speak truth without a punchline.
Yeah,
and I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
And a few other things he made, but really, just like, to me, regardless of him being a Black comedian or whatever, like, he is one of the greatest comedians of all time.
I think he's the greatest living current. I mean, even though Eddie Murphy's still
greatest living, but I think he's one of the best.
He's the greatest active comedian right now for sure, but he's absolutely one of the best ever.
And not necessarily as far as his stand-up goes, because he really publicly hasn't done as much stand-up, right?
He's had 4 specials over the last 4 years.
Sure.
I mean, he did take that hiatus.
Right, for sure. But I just mean, like, I feel like, and they were all fucking fantastic. But what he does is different than what other stand-ups before him have done.
I think so.
In the way he approaches it. But I would put him in one of the greatest of all time, especially of how he, like, to me, without what he paved the way for, you wouldn't have the acceptance of the shit Bill Burr did or does, because Bill Burr was on the Chappelle show.
Yeah, second season he started being on the
To
Chappelle
me,
show.
you wouldn't have the shit Louis C.K. did if it wasn't for Chappelle opening the door for some of that racial comedy. Like, he's a brave motherfucker, and like, that's impressive to me, and that puts him in like the top, like, at least 10 of all time.
Yeah,
like, he's up there with Pryor and Eddie Murphy. And
I think it puts him in the top 5.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah,
his style's different and his purpose is different, but his importance and his skill level is.
Yeah, I think Pryor could have had a little more of what Dave Chappelle does. Pryor did a lot of that, but I think all of a sudden because it's the 70s. All of a sudden, Pryor's just shot up in fame during that time period. So, whereas Chappelle, super famous hiatus, comes back and just starts beating the shit out of you with truth and comedy.
Well, I feel like that Richard Pryor did some of that, but he was more, and again, I don't know him, whatever, but outside looking in, he was more concerned about making the money and his career. He spoke the truth and threw some of the shit out, but his focus was on being funny.
Yeah.
Chappelle, funny is secondary, or a mix of, he wants to say something while being funny, so it goes down.
Well, I think because of people like Pryor, he understands this, the spoonful of sugar thing.
Right. Well, Pryor and Eddie Murphy paved the way for Dave Chappelle. Don't get me wrong, but
and Bill Cosby.
Yeah. He did. Bill Cosby was this mass white appeal.
Yeah.
It was crazy. Because you're not going to get fucking Cat Williams appealing to a fuck ton of white people.
Right.
You're not going to get shit. I just forgot. I dropped her name on the last fucking episode with
Wanda Sykes.
Wanda Sykes. She's not going to have massive white appeal. But you get guys like Bill Cosby, you get guys like Richard Pryor that at least put up this persona of safety, that he's funny and he might joke some racial shit, but he's not going to make me that uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And
he's not stepping on any toes to take a church thing.
Right. Anyway.
Yeah. All right.
I think it's a good spot
to go out.
Yeah. All right, dude. Well, I will. We'll see you next week.
Yeah. Don't forget. At least as of right now, we'll be with Trevor. Probably doing a joint episode, not a blunt episode.
Right. I wish.
With Trevor Jackson. Probably be Friday night that we'll be live again.
Yeah. We'll post it on the socials.
Yep.
But and then we'll probably have some pretty sweet guests coming up. We'll let you know. Until next week.
Yep. Give us a thumbs up on Facebook at B3F Podcast. Follow us on Twitter at B3F Podcast and on Instagram at B3F_podcast. Send us your questions or comments to bfff.podcast@gmail.com. Rate us and review us wherever you listen to the show. And as always, thanks for listening.